Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new series that we're doing. It's going to be a little mini series on this Story Archives crossover podcast with my good friend Victor Lopez, who is the host of the All Things Basketball podcast. If you didn't already know, he's a basketball junkie. He's got the Kobe Black Mamba poster behind him or painting behind him. And we're actually going to be covering this new docu-series that just dropped on Netflix titled Court of Gold, which highlighted Team USA. Well, not just Team USA, all the top international teams plus Team USA in last year's Paris Olympics, which of course, USA, USA.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into it. Vic, how you doing, man? We're gonna be covering episodes 1 through 3 today. Just bouncing around. Vic is the go-to guy for all things basketball. Literally, that's why his
That's the name of the
podcast is
pod.
named that. So, how you doing, bro?
Nah, I'm doing great, man. This is actually the first time that I've been a guest on another pod. So it's like a little bit
Oh,
of
snap.
relief stress wise because I don't have to worry about editing. I don't have to worry about, a lot of stuff, so that
Nice.
part's good. I'm doing good. The pod's growing slowly but surely. Obviously I think you were my first guest. Yeah, you were my first guest when I used to do it on audio. Obviously now I'm on YouTube. I'm sure you'll put the link up there
I'll put
somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put all
And
the
I'll put
links
that on
there.
mine too. But yeah, the channel's basically about, I do breakdowns on plays. I break down some players. I mix it in with some highlights. I also do just general thoughts after games. And sometimes I look at post games. It's just like a lot of details, all things basketball, mainly the NBA. But
Yeah.
yeah, happy to be here though.
No, man, it's a pleasure to have you. You're one of the I think you're the only person who, aside from myself and Zach, who like started the podcasting thing and like is stuck in through like for the
And
last
stuck
like
through.
two plus years. Because people
Yeah.
start it. People say like it's easy to start one. It
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
easy to start one. The difficulty is not
Yeah.
in the starting. It's in the continuing and
How many people have
strategizing and
hit
doing
you up?
content.
Like, hey man, and then they're kind
Since
of
I
in the works and then
since I
they
started since I
yeah.
started, probably at least like 5 to 10 maybe.
Yeah.
5 to 10. You're the only one who actually like, who I would talk to and actually did
Yeah.
the things,
Yeah.
so kudos, man.
Yeah.
So,
Nah,
I
appreciate
gotta
it,
get
man.
I gotta get back on the podcast, of
100%.
yours. What are you drinking, coffee this morning?
I
That's a
got
little too
coffee.
early for
Yep.
I got a
100%.
special mug today.
Let's see. What do
We
we
still
got? What
got
is Oh, no.
we still got love for Jimmy in
Uh,
South Beach.
this
I
guy.
got I got I got the big face coffee mug here.
Does it
Jimmy.
taste like disappointment?
It
What's
tastes like two NBA Finals appearances in 4
Ah,
years.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
2 NBA
It
Finals
tastes
shortcomings. That's
we made Tatum the man he is today.
okay. I'll buy that. That's
It
fine.
tastes like a Bam Adebayo block against the rim slash backboard to get to the
Hey,
NBA Finals for me.
huge
So
that was a huge block. But, is that his coffee too, or is it just a mug?
no, it's just a mug. I don't have
Gotcha.
all the fancy tools that Jimmy has. If he watches this podcast, which shame on you for not being on Team USA, Jimmy. You would have been great.
Mhm.
You would have been great for this docu-series, 100%. But well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Contract year, get it. Now he's gone, so
Yeah, and
it is what
thriving
it is.
over there. Team's looking pretty damn good.
I mean, is he not the perfect guy to go over there?
I mean, he's great because he's a guy that plays off 2 feet, as you know. He plays off contact, doesn't really need the ball to be effective. He's a really good off-ball cutter. He's a good leader too, kind of just a guy that
When
just
you want,
does the scrappy
when you
things
want,
when he
yeah.
wants to. And I feel like he's alongside a perfect guy who's just going to space the floor, and when he gets to that hop step, like after he blows by a defender, he's got kick out options now. He's got cutters. He's got, the spacing that he kind of had on the Heat, but obviously he has Steph. That's a whole other level of
It's another
gravity from a
animal.
single player. Yeah. And like when he gets to that hop step, like I said, he's just in heaven right now, surrounded by with those young guys too around him that have talent, but I don't think it's enough anyways
What are they
to
gonna do? Are they gonna give him
yeah.
the money? The annoying part is that the money they're gonna give him would have probably
Well,
not
they
been
already
as
paid him. So,
okay.
yeah, he got his
What
little
is
extension. It's like a 2-year.
2 year? That's what
Um,
Miami would have given him. Miami would have given him a 2 year. I
mm,
don't think it would have been that far off. I just think that he wanted whatever it was, but
Yeah.
At that point, I think it was
Mm,
just the statement of leaving for him. Which, by the way, I mean, did Miami surround him with enough pieces while he was here?
yeah.
We tried. I know we tried, but it's unpredictable. This league's unpredictable. San Antonio
Super.
just gets De'Aaron Fox. It's like it's so eerily reminiscent of when Miami brought in Goran Dragic, um, and the day after or 2 days after Chris Bosh gets the blood clots. It's like so eerily
Mm.
reminiscent of that. Like did we even see a game with De'Aaron Fox and Wemby?
Yeah. Yeah,
A
we did.
couple, like, but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
much, but not
Yeah,
not
they
like more than
played,
7 games.
I wanna say they played, like, 4 games together.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I was gonna say it wasn't like a 7-10 game stretch or
No,
anything
and I
that we
was
saw.
also surprised to see him start next to CP3 because you would think, like obviously,
Mhm.
from a best
Bring
players on the floor
bring CP3
perspective, it makes
off the
sense.
bench.
But yeah, bringing CP off the bench clearly like that ups the value on your bench unit. But
They
and
probably
even
would've
Zach
done
Levine,
that.
who kind of slept on, he's on the
Yeah.
Kings now too. So there's guys everywhere. Bogdanovic is on the Clippers now. DeAndre Hunter's on the Cavs. There was like a lot of movement.
Speaking of Bogdanovic, he gets a lot of shine in this Court of Gold series.
He
He is the
does.
all-time leading Serbian basketball scorer until
Hmm.
Jokic wants to take it from him in a few
Right.
years.
Yeah.
But, Bogdan is a guy that I was dying for him to be on the Heat while
Mm.
Jimmy, and I think the second year while Jimmy was here, I was like, "Man, Bogdan." I
Yeah.
know Wade called him like a 3rd tier NBA talent, which
Right.
I think
I
that's
had
pretty
that written
accurate.
down here too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, like, he's floating between, like, 2.5, 3 type of
Hard to
situation there.
hard to say because he's a guy you love when
Yeah.
he's not on your team, but then when he's on your team, you still love him because I loved watching him when he was on the Kings. Obviously, when he was on the Hawks, now he's on the Clippers. He's a guy that has good height. He makes good decisions. Like he can shoot off the bounce. He has like a pretty rare skill set, but not like a big
Yeah.
impact player in my opinion. So I would
I
put him. I would
yeah.
say third tier is probably accurate for a guy like that.
I'd say on a championship winning team, he's the probably 4th guy.
Yeah,
He should probably be the 4th
and
guy.
he's gonna do a damn good job
Oh,
as
like
your fourth guy.
the 4th guy who's
Yes.
flirting with NBA Finals MVP type of guy, like, where he just has a random pop off. You know what I
Just
mean?
a
Like,
random pop-off game. He's got it
yeah,
in
like
him. Yeah.
I'm talking like an Andre Iguodala type of, like, just pops
Like
off, or
some kind of
Wiggins.
like
Or
yeah.
Wiggins in that one NBA Finals where he was the best guy in the finals,
Yeah,
Um,
offensively, like he could just go off.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, Wiggins popped off yesterday for the Heat, so
he
which
did. You showed me the
a
link.
and by the way, Adam Silver, get it situated with the TV games, man. Us Heat
Yeah.
fans are locked out of all of our games. We can't get them on basic cable.
It's
We can't
horrible.
get them on YouTube
Yeah.
TV. We can't get them on Comcast. We can't get them on DirecTV. You gotta
Yeah.
literally get some obscure service. It's ridiculous. You can't even have a league pass and watch the game, so,
Yeah. And
yeah.
yeah, that's right. Now I wanted to ask you, if we're gonna jump right into the court of gold right away. Like
So,
do we always, every time we get an Olympic documentary, do we always have to talk about the
the
92
dream.
Dream Team, the Redeem Team, the Larry Brown failed '04 team? Like, do we always have to tell that story when we go through an Olympic documentary again?
I think for this one, it was appropriate, but I had the same feeling when I saw it, like, are we gonna rehash how much are we gonna
Like, how
rehash
many
here,
times is Michael Wilbon going to tell me that they were like the Beatles?
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, he says it every single time, you
Wilbon
know?
is great though as that, like,
He is.
that ambassador guy where he goes,
Yeah.
"Canada has their sport. It's hockey." And it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he's great. He's great. I don't know. I wanted to ask you that because as someone that, you focus on the film stuff, the
Yeah.
storytelling, I wanted to know from your perspective, like how you feel about always having to retell
Well,
that and not just jump into what we want to see, because we've already,
no matter what, it is the
yeah,
most important team in basketball
it
history.
is. It is.
So, in terms of what it did for the game, and the thing is that the fruits of those seeds are just now blossoming.
Right.
Like, they were
Yeah.
there. We had the Dirks, we had, like, the Steve Nashes, the one-offs, right? But
Yeah.
now, and this is something I wanna talk about, if you take who are the top 5 players in the world right now, I'd say 4 of them are probably international.
And if honestly, and if Embiid wasn't hurt and going through all these injuries now where he's basically like at the end of what he's
Well well, he's
of
Team
what it
USA,
looks
so
like
we
to be
can't
like
consider
his
him.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like he is, an
Yeah,
international foreign-born player. So you
yeah.
could argue, if he was healthy, of course, like it would
All
be
5 would
all
be,
5 would be, and
right.
he would have made it last year. Had he wait, did he make the All NBA team? I don't think he did.
That's your territory of all the stuff. Like, I would
I'm trying to remember the fives. I know it was Shea, it was Giannis, it was Tatum. Yeah, I think the one that was missing was Embiid on that 5, but yeah, because Jokic won the MVP last season.
yeah,
So I don't think Embiid made it. So it would have been 5 all NBA players, all foreign born. And by the way, obviously in the future, assuming Wemby, the blood clot thing isn't that
yeah,
serious,
yeah.
he's gonna have that spot locked up, like in first
100%,
team
and
all NBA. So we're
and
talking,
the
yeah.
Russillo talked about it in it, which I'm sure he was giddy to be. He was the guy that they brought in because there was a few reporters who made the cut to be like the faces on this thing, and it's
Mhm.
Russillo, it's Wilbon,
Yeah.
and it's Malika, who's so
And then
hot.
it's
Um,
yeah, and I wanted to ask you, like, could they have not just brought someone more, like, just I don't know, like,
and
the things
Russillo,
she doesn't add anything
oh,
to no, I
Malika,
love Russillo. I'm talking about Malika Andrews, like, just Shea, he gets buckets, and then it's like, Jokic,
yeah.
3-time MVP, and it's like, "Okay, you're not really giving me
Well, who's
much."
who's who's the girl you're putting over here? Are you gonna do like Doris
Oh,
Burke or
if
something?
it has to
Like,
be a girl, then, I
that's what
mean,
it seemed. I mean, I'm not
okay,
saying like it seemed to me like they were going diversity, right? You
right.
know,
Maybe.
that look, I'm gonna be straight, call a spade a spade. They got Wilbon, older
Okay.
black guy. You got Russillo, white guy. Malika Andrews, black girl. Like, so,
Yeah.
you're
Well, I
checking
guess from
your
that
if you're
perspective, then I
if you're
guess, like
doing that, I think Hollywood thinks in those terms these days. And I didn't think
yeah,
about that while I was watching it, but as you just asked me,
yeah.
it occurred to me like, damn, they did like 3 demos right there. So,
And
and I
then
think it's
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 directed
also about
by it's executive produced by,
the Obamas,
by the Obamas, right? So, I mean,
which,
I
by the way,
guess
I mean, what a pleasure for them, or at least a Barack.
yeah,
I mean,
and it's been great.
he glazed himself though big time when they introduced him in this pod, and
Yeah,
when they introduced him in episode 1 and said, "There's no bigger basketball fan in the world." I'm like,
come on, man. Yeah,
"Come on,
yeah,
dude."
yeah.
I know Vic Lopez is a bigger basketball fan than Barack Obama, But what I'm saying is, like, from a selfish perspective, you get to be I mean, you're president, and then you get to just dip, and then now you're gonna
Yeah.
executive produce shows about stuff that you wanna do. Like, that's awesome that you get to do that.
No, it's
So,
amazing. It's an awesome opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. Like the '92 team, and then the people that still want to say the '92 team was just so dominant. It's like the ongoing argument about what team is the best that we've ever had, and you go
oh,
back
yeah.
to that.
I
You go
wanted
back
to
to that
take it.
stat where it's like 9 NBA players
Yeah.
in the Olympics outside of obviously the US team that they played against in '92. And then you go all the way to 2024, 61 NBA players. And by the way, I'm pretty sure there's also other like college players, like longtime college players that also get on those international teams that you see randomly. Not saying
Yeah,
that they're
yeah,
like
yeah,
insane
100%.
game changers, but like, we also have a lot of that. So, it's one of those things like I get it. A lot of the guys in the '92 team, they were not in their prime.
Well,
Like,
I wanted to bring it back because I
yeah,
couldn't close my thought, and I will say before
yeah,
we stop talking about Malika, Russillo, and Wilbon,
yeah,
I don't think that they were picked because of their demos.
yeah.
I mean, Malika's good at what she does,
She's
but
good. Yeah,
I can't think of a girl. I can't think of a female reporter slash announcer
yeah.
who's ahead
Well,
of
I
her
mean, Doris
current.
Burke, like
No, no, no,
someone
no,
that
no.
actually,
That's what I was gonna get to. I was gonna say,
yeah,
if there's a handful to go to right now,
yeah,
Malika's probably at the top in terms of announcing. She's also very pretty, so selfishly, I don't mind her
it
being in
works,
the
right?
documentary.
Yeah,
Doris Burke, though, from a basketball mind,
yeah.
probably the best. What's the other girl?
I think Shanae
Doesn't
Ogwumike is good. Maybe not like
Oh, yeah,
her
she's
name,
good, but I
but
think her voice is in it, though. Her voice is in it throughout. They use clips of her talking throughout the
mm,
documentary, if I'm not mistaken. I
I
could
don't
be wrong.
remember. Yeah,
Um there's a few, man. I like Malika better than Candace, I'll be honest with you.
me too,
I
me
don't
too.
think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think I don't think Candace has gotten comfortable in like similar to Wade, and I love Wade. Wade is good in this setting, in a documentary where he can just
Yes.
be
Yeah,
by himself, but amongst 4 or 5 dudes, Wade doesn't
yeah.
ever seem to like get into a groove. Similar to like other like great stars, like sports stars, like Dan Marino is like known for not being my dad's like a Dan Marino, fanatic,
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
was like, Dan never settled in to just be comfortable in his personality. Tom Brady is a little bit like that. These guys who are kind of always in PR mode. Barack Obama does it. Like when you listen to him in the interview, it's like, bro, can you just like unwind a little bit and stop being so? He finally did it in this
Mm.
podcast, and I keep on saying podcast in this docu-series
Yeah.
when they sit him down on the couch. Which, by the way, can you get a better backdrop for a former president? Um, and I mean, they have him like in the corner of a Hilton penthouse. Like Jesus, like
Yeah.
everybody. Wilbon had a better
It's like you
backdrop
couldn't
than
get a nice little yeah, yeah.
Boris Diaw had
I
a
didn't even
better
think about that.
backdrop.
That's hilarious.
Boris Boris Diaw had the coolest backdrop, like the out of focus bleachers behind him was the
Oh,
coolest.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was sick. But I like how Barack was essentially taking a dig at himself. Like, people kind of, get mad at me for being concerned about the border stuff, aka globalist type stuff. But he's like, but I'm pure, US dominance when it comes to basketball, which I did enjoy. So to
Yeah,
go back to the dream team thing, I think it was necessary here because the whole theme of it was how the dream team ushered in basketball to the world. At least that's what they
yeah.
say, right? Yugoslavia, that whole bit that they talk about in episode
Mhm.
3 would kind of tell you differently, like that the basketball is already being spread around. So it
Right.
would have probably gotten there. But 92 was where like it just all the stars. Before that, we were just sending college players really to the Olympics. And
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it kind of
Shout out to
started a new
David Stern
tradition.
for yeah,
Essentially,
wanting to
what
make that.
happened is it turned into Marvel, like a Marvel superhero situation where it was like, think about it. What happens with Team USA basketball? You have an epic team like 92, right? But that team is built because of an embarrassment of losing
Right.
in the
They're just
Olympics
stacking.
prior.
Yeah.
Then we have dominance in 92. Then we don't do this thing again until like the redeem team,
Well, we had
really.
Dream Team 2, where Shaq was on that team, Barkley was on that team. People forget about
Yes,
that team too.
yes.
That was a really
But
good team too.
but there's a common theme of like we got to get punched in the mouth by like the new
Right,
boss,
right,
aka
right.
it's like the Avengers, and then the Avengers assemble,
Yeah,
and that's pretty much the start of this series where you have LeBron texting everybody to join this team, which I personally
assembling.
enjoyed that aspect because
Me
him and
too.
Curry don't participate super frequently in the Olympics, right? Although Bron's done it 4 times. This is his
Bronze,
3rd or
yeah.
4th.
And KD's been like just
That's
for
my
my
favorite
money,
part
he's
of
been
this
the
series.
best Olympic player we've had. Just
Kevin
for me.
Durant
I think
has
so.
been my favorite part about this series because
Yeah.
low key, while he was getting a ton of hate in the States because of his move
Yeah.
to Golden State, which by the way, I kind of want to talk. This is something I want to talk about on this pod
Yeah.
with you. The thing about KD, because he was my favorite player coming into the league.
I remember.
Okay, I've had a few favorite players throughout my life. Allen Iverson was one of them. Kobe was always top tier for me.
Yeah.
Um, then I saw KD play at Texas, and I was like, and everybody was Greg Oden, Greg Oden, Greg Oden. I
Greg
was like,
Oden. For rightfully
yeah.
so, it was the timeline, right? You needed
And
that
by the
big
way,
man was
Greg Oden was disgusting when healthy.
he was. Yeah.
Okay, but I was a KD guy.
Yeah.
He just felt different.
The whole combine with the bench press thing kind of like made people
Yeah.
skeptical because people cared about strength back
Mhm.
then a lot more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they always underestimated the fact that it didn't matter that he couldn't bench press 135 20 times. The guy
Yeah.
was dunking over 7-footers with authority as a
Yeah.
string bean in Texas and shooting before Steph came
A
along,
stud.
shooting for, from 35 out. I just
Yeah.
disgusting player.
At his
And
size. That
at
was
his
also
size,
like.
insane ball handling for his size. That was like the
Yeah.
differentiator for him. But
Yeah.
I was always a big fan. And then this series, what it's doing is it kind of like a, while everybody was hating on him, he's been Captain America for like the last, 15
Yeah.
years.
And
And
quietly somehow, right? Like
yes,
not
quietly.
like it so quickly gets overshadowed by LeBron and Steph, and like even Carmelo. People always talk about
Yeah.
Olympic Melo and all that. And KD somehow, like yeah, like you said, he kind of like sneaks by, even though I think he's the all-time leading scorer in Olympic U.S. team history now. I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
he has the most points now. I could be wrong about that. I heard that on the documentary, and I was reminded. But like one thing about KD that I always found interesting was he came in. What was the year he came in? It was '07. Oh, it
I'd have to
was
look
like
it up.
it was
KD
either
draft.
'07.
That was
I
the
think it
year
was.
the Gators played Ohio State
I believe that was
in the state final.
2007. Yeah, we can check that out real quick, but
Oh 07, yeah.
oh
That
seven.
was
So
the Al Horford, Mike Conley,
yeah. So to
yeah.
put into context, like how special KD really is, it's like we get this guy who is 7 feet, 6'11", whatever he wants to declare himself as, but
Mhm.
his skill set, like we've had some really skilled 7 footers after KD, like Cat. Obviously, Wemby is like the most recent one that we've seen, a guy really tall with the guard skills and all that. But
Yeah.
and you could, Porzingis is in that somewhere. Obviously, we've had Dirk right
But
before him,
they're more
but
more big.
none of them were like as impressive to me skill wise. Like obviously, Wemby has the potential to surpass that, but still raw offensively.
But as a big, Wemby's not gonna take you
We'll see.
in transition like one on
We'll
two
see.
type of
We'll
I
see.
mean,
I mean, he shows flashes, like where he's crossing up a guard, he's playing in pick and rolls as like the ball handler. He's
well,
di-
my
it's
the thing is
crazy.
with me and certain players is as an NBA star, you have to lean into your strengths, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
How many times you see the guy who's so obsessed with like I need to be a guard, like Giannis,
Mhm.
for example.
Yeah.
Dude, Giannis, what you're insane at is downhill, just
Yeah.
dominance towards the rim. Like just
Rebounding,
be
paint scoring.
insane,
Yeah.
footwork around the paint, rebounding, work on your shot a
Transition.
little bit so you can hit a mid range,
Yeah.
transition. That's your thing. Don't be obsessed with hitting threes. Don't be obsessed with it.
Right. Right.
I mean, you can like get better at shooting threes, but
Yeah. But it just doesn't
you
work
can
for him.
you can create the game and make the game work for you by just doing what you're great at. And I think Wemby, his
That's
thing
fair.
is just be dominant for the gifts that you have. And he could
Yeah.
technically be Kevin Durant, but do you want to see him
It
face
could
up
be.
dribble at the 3-point line? I don't
If
know.
he can I mean, if he can do it with an efficient percentage that makes you say, "Okay, you have the green light to do it," then you
Yeah.
do it. But I feel like you're right. Like this guy's 7'3", insane
If you're the
wingspan.
opposing
Like
team, if you're the
you
opposing
want him
team, you
shooting
feel like you won on defense
for
if
sure.
Wemby's 35 feet away from the
Yeah.
rim,
But if he
you know?
gets a reliable turnaround jumper, the way we
Oh,
saw Dirk with the
that I'm okay
fadeaway,
with. That
like
100% makes sense with his
that's
game.
gonna yeah,
That the back dude, go call Tim Duncan, be in the gym with him and get that backboard
yeah.
mid-range
And they're working
15-footer.
on
That's
that
unstoppable.
100%,
Yeah.
you know?
I love Tim Duncan. You wanna talk about another quiet superstar.
Yeah.
Um,
But,
but the
the point of
KD
the
thing, man.
KD thing, like, we've had a lot of, like, some great 7 footers, guys with height that, they have the guard skills, but
Mhm.
none quite like KD up to this
No,
point in terms
nobody.
of, like, dribble combos. I'm gonna cross you over, get to the rim,
Mhm.
put people on posters. Like early KD, it's so easy for people to forget just how guard esque he really was at his height. And that's something
Yeah.
that, Porzingis will show it, but Porzingis is more of like a catch and shooting in transition.
Mhm.
Like he turnarounds in the post, like the fadeaways, the catch and shoots. KD is more like, I'm putting the ball on the ground. I'm getting to a dribble combo, dribble pull ups. Like,
KD is I don't think this is controversial to say. I can't think of a better offensive player ever.
yeah,
Like, ever. In terms of full, complete package,
yeah,
you have to put his height in there and his dribbling ability in
yeah.
there. This is a guy like LeBron had struggles to get to the rim in some aspects of his career because his ball handling wasn't to the level that it is now,
He
you
would
know?
just bully
But
himself through though.
he would
That's like
bully his way
his
through.
yeah.
But I remember after we lost to the Mavericks, I think it was, I remember there was a big emphasis that in the offseason he was gonna work on his ball handling or something
Mm,
like that. And I remember because I remember like, yo, KD, like, what's different about KD? Because he's tall. Usually, you can't see a big get around somebody
yeah,
at that size.
he's
And
doing it
what you
with dribbles.
noticed with him, he dribbles low too.
Yep,
Like, dude dribbles low for a 7 footer.
yep.
So,
And
and
he was
Wemby has that
explosive, man.
aspect to him too. By the way, yeah, super, super, super
Yeah,
explosive. Which I wanted to talk about it because it does feel like he's finally getting the love he deserves, right? And I think that's been one of the themes of his career is that he's always wanted the love that these greats get, like
yeah,
that LeBron and Curry so easily get.
yeah,
And he's not getting it. And the reason he doesn't get it is because he decided to go to the team that beat him. Is really the
yeah.
that
Right. And then
if you
also
strip it
now
away,
it's added with him leaving Brooklyn, and now he
I
doesn't seem
see,
happy in Phoenix.
see to me that doesn't. I think that's because the same with Jimmy. I think Jimmy leaving to Golden State is a mistake ultimately because there's nothing more rewarding, and you see it in this documentary with those players that kind of stick with. with a team for a
Yeah.
longer period of time, like the Tony Parkers. But I wanted to
Yeah.
say didn't want to talk about the Golden State thing in a negative way. I wanted to say in a way of they mentioned, I think in episode 1 or 2 with KD, that he's a team guy. He's like a high IQ, and he says it to
Yes.
to the interviewer. He says, "We didn't care about wins and losses. We just cared about playing good basketball." Okay, and when
Mhm.
you're on OKC and you watch those OKC teams, and I love Russ, but to
Yeah.
play with Russ, I mean, it was like low IQ basketball, man. When
Yeah.
it came to there was a series that they were leading 3-1, I think, against Golden State, and they were killing with the Russ, Steven Adams pick and pop, pick and roll, just
Mhm.
disgusting. Just and then for 3 games, it was like they forgot about it completely.
Yeah.
And if you're KD, who's kind of like Jokic in a way, if I had to say personality types, he's a little like
In
Jokic
terms
in
of,
the
like,
sense
being
that,
within the flow. Yeah. Right?
oh, hold on, recording is cutting away here.
I see it still going.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, you're back, but your internet looks you there?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
no, it
can
went
see you
complete
too.
robot. It
Yeah.
went complete robot on my
Oh,
side.
shoot. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear you
so
perfectly. Yeah.
I didn't know if you said anything, but I was essentially saying that I think KD has such a high basketball IQ that when you see the beautiful basketball that Golden State was
Yeah.
playing in those days, in those years,
Mhm.
how do you not want to be a part of it? And by the
Right.
way, he's been the best player on every single team he's played on, including those Golden State teams.
Yeah.
So that I
Yeah.
kind of just wanted to say, like, for someone like him, I think he saw his career and was like, I want to play with a team that plays like a team and not just one
Yeah.
two. Me and Russ taking turns shooting the ball.
Yeah.
And
Right, and then you got Andre Roberson over there, who people cheat away from also, like, just non-shooters all around him, and that was a problem. That's why OKC was a little guardable because of
yeah,
the hero ball, because of the one-on-one, because of the lack of spacing that they had at the time. But, like, my whole point about the KD thing that I wanted to bring up was just the fact that this guy comes along in '07, and
yep.
the game has advanced so much. Guys are so much more skilled at the heights that they are now, and yet we still haven't seen someone as special as KD, like as skilled and polished offensively as KD yet, right? And hopefully that next person is probably Wemby
Well, to be
with more
honest,
potential than KD, really, because of
it's
the
not.
defensive side.
KD makes everything look pretty,
He does.
but if we want to talk about somebody who's polished all around, it's got to be Jokic. Jokic is
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the handle. Like
or
he's
Luka.
got the offensive. Yeah,
Luka.
but Luka's not the
Why are you
efficient
why are you wearing
player.
an Orlando Magic hat right now? What is going on?
But Luke is not the efficient guy offensively that KD has been his entire career.
No,
You
no,
know,
absolutely,
like KD is a 50-40-90 guy, like
hundred
just,
percent.
at his height. But I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because, like, all this time has passed. This guy comes along in the early 2000s, and we haven't seen someone like him since.
No,
You know,
not at
we
all.
always get excited, the Bulls, but you
I
know,
think no, KD had all the love in the world before he. I don't want to talk about this is the thing about KD, and this is the reason I like this documentary. I want the narrative to start going from this is the best player in men's Olympic history for the US, okay?
yeah,
Um that I want the conversation to go more there
yeah,
than, oh, if he didn't go to Golden State. Like, bro,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
Like it's done. It's done.
the
It's
only
just
the only issue with it, and look, I love KD. I'm a KD fan. The only issue anybody had that I personally had with it was that he could have beaten that team,
he definitely could have.
with what he had,
Yeah.
and that's really it. But in terms of like, I can see why anybody at the peak would just say F it. History's not going to remember this anyways. I want to have a good
Absolutely
time in
not.
my career. I want to play with high IQ players. I want to play with a coach who's legendary, and
Yeah.
I want to play with the greatest shooter who's ever played the game, Steph Curry.
Yeah. And he wants to
And
win.
Klay Thompson, by the way, back when, Klay was
Yeah.
more, at his peak, right? So
Yeah.
I could see, like, bro, F it. I got a 20-year career max in the NBA if I'm lucky as a superstar. Because right now, he said he got in '07. It's 2025. So he'll
Yeah.
probably play another 2 years.
Yeah.
So he'll probably have a 20-year career. And
For sure.
what do you want to do with it? Do you want to, be stuck where you don't want to be stuck? Or like, I'm going to go do that. I know we're going to probably win. People are going to make fun of it. But, in soccer, and we talked about soccer the other day, and I'm gonna say soccer because I'm talking to my American friend, but when I'm with my snobby soccer friends, we call it
Yeah.
football.
Right, right.
Um,
Call it football. That's what it is.
football. People don't get mad like when Mbappe like Kylian Mbappe went to Real Madrid. Nobody's being like, "Oh, he left PSG. He couldn't get it done in PSG." No, they're
Yeah.
like, "Bro, I want
But
to
that's the
see him."
culture in that sport, like you said.
They're like, "I wanna see Mbappe playing next to Vinicius Junior and
Yeah.
Rodrigo and, Fede and all these guys." Like, they just wanna see it, and that's
Yeah.
how it was with KD too. At some point, everybody hated it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, they were like, "But I kinda wanna see
But I kinda wanna
KD with Steph Curry in this and just see what this
Yeah.
looks like," you know?
I
So
hated it, but that's
me
for
too,
another
me too.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. To this day, I don't like it, but nonetheless, I'm glad
Yeah.
this Olympics thing is letting people know that nobody's been more committed and more, decorated as a Olympic winner
It's an
than
Olympic.
KD,
Yeah.
right? And,
Agreed. Yeah.
I love the fact he kinda threw a little shade, to be honest with you, because this documentary opens up with, like, LeBron is essentially, Iron Man or Captain America,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
he's the one sending out the text like, "You guys seeing this? You guys seeing how we're losing to Canada right now in the silver in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bronze game? You seeing, like,
Yeah.
Curry, are you down?" And then KD goes and says he kinda does, like, a subtle shade, even though I think in any interview he would deny this, but when they
Yeah.
bring up the whole, like, assembling of the team thing as those 3 as the top guys, he says, yeah, Curry, he's like 36 and it's like his first one ever." And and then he goes and
Yeah.
he goes, "Yeah, LeBron sent the text and I was down and like who wouldn't be down with LeBron? It's his first Olympic like in 12 years." And he just like slips that in there,
Right,
to let
right, right.
people know like you're not gonna join. It's like somebody who's been there the whole time
KD's
and
like,
then
"You're
you
joining
come
my
in,
team."
bro, this is my team at the end of the day, which
Yeah.
that's why it subtly pissed me off that Kerr
Yeah.
started the tournament by benching him, which I know they
Well,
wanted to
he was hurt.
downplay that.
He was hurt, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but get that out of here. You don't bench him. You bring him to start. You
Yeah,
don't
but
bench
he
KD.
couldn't play, though. Like, he had a couple of those,
Yeah,
in
couldn't play my ass.
the what's
He
it
went 8
called?
for 8, 21 points, dude.
Yeah, no, but he wasn't playing in the friendlies. He didn't play at all. Like, there
I
was a he was completely just not a DNP for the
who got the start over him? Book.
I'm pretty sure it was Edwards. Edwards got a lot of run as a starter.
But
They mixed it
Booker
in.
started, I think. No?
Booker was the main starter towards the end, but Edwards got a lot of run. And he obviously Edwards got way more PT. I mean, he was really a part of the regular rotation over
When you
Tatum.
when
I
you
don't
hear
know if you
KD
wanna
talk about that in this documentary, Vic, when he talks about, I would have came off the bench, whatever coach wanted. When he said whatever coach wanted, that told me that he actually was good to start. So, I don't know.
No,
KD
but
probably started
that's
every game after that.
yeah, yeah. But like I said, he was hurt in the friendlies though. Like he was a complete DNP. Like he wasn't even playing
Mm.
until like the group stage. I'm pretty sure he didn't play until the group stage. If I remember, these games are all a blur for me because I haven't gone back to rewatch them. But I know KD was not playing for a ton of those games at all.
Well,
Like it wasn't even, yeah,
KD's gotten the majority of the love in the first 3 episodes from Team USA.
for sure.
We're gonna get the Curry love in episode 6, I
Episode
can
two
feel it.
was the KD episode, right?
And it was I mean, the end was heart-wrenching. Like, when you hear his story and you
Yeah,
hear, like, him talk about his story and him getting emotional, like, this is a guy who just purely loves the game of basketball, and he's talking about, his 27,000 fans in the arena, and everybody's there being brought together for the game of basketball, and he's getting emotional. Like, you truly see that this guy's just a hooper, you know?
yeah,
And, I found it interesting that he's Anthony Edwards' favorite player. I didn't know that he had that sort of attachment to KD like that. Like, when you see Ant talking to every other player on this team besides KD, it's kinda like talking crap, like MJ style Last Dance almost kinda aura is what the
yeah,
Ant has, right?
yeah, yeah.
But with KD, it's like this. You can just tell he looks up to KD, man. Like, it's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is fresh off of just sweeping the Suns. You know that last
Yeah.
postseason.
Mhm.
So that was always a fun little part of this whole run. But I also wanted to like bring up something from I think it was the first episode where Ryan Russillo is talking about like 4 out of the 5 best players are foreign born.
Yeah.
When's the next one going to be American? And just for me to kind of go against that point, like I feel like I'm in the minority in this sense because every time I bring it up, people are like, well, the best player in the face of the NBA always has to be American. And I disagree with that. That's just me. I feel like it's important that the game is as global as possible for it to continue to grow. I think
Mhm.
obviously that's like an undeniable fact for any sport. If you want the sport to grow, you need global impact. Now, the fact that, they're saying viewership is down because maybe we don't have a face that's like an American born player. People are like, maybe it's Cooper Flag. And it's like, to me, the problem is also like the way we're training these kids on our own soil. Like, you look at AAU, you look at high school, these kids aren't really being taught stagger
Fundamentals.
screens and yeah,
Yeah.
like they're not really learning the X's and O's. They're not learning just the simple ball reversal stuff, just like how to play in within a flow of like an offense. Motion, it's all
When you
individual skill
hear
work, you know?
Yeah, when you hear these, like, the star player stories, a lot of them,
Yeah.
what stands out is how a lot of the things that they've done are totally against the grain of what they would let you do in AAU, in
Mhm.
the youth stuff. Like, you hear Curry specifically is the one who comes to mind for me. They would they would advise against you to go play golf and go play all these different sports that Curry was playing.
Mhm.
Essentially, I think what it did for him was his hand-eye coordination is insane because he
Yeah.
was playing these various sports, right? LeBron played football. A lot of basketball players play football,
Yeah.
and that helps you
It
athleticism,
does. Yeah.
explosiveness, all that. But like baseball, golf, tennis, these different sports that are just I don't think any of them play tennis, but at least I haven't heard of an example. But maybe Luka, soccer
Yeah.
with Luka, I think.
Yeah.
Jokic, you see him kick a soccer ball every once in a while, and you can see how coordinated he is with
Yeah,
it.
you can kinda see
You know?
even Embiid, I've seen him
Yeah,
dribble.
yeah.
Pascal Siakam, guys like that.
And think about
Um,
those guys, like, all 3 of those guys that we just mentioned, Jokic, Embiid, Siakam, bigs,
yeah.
great footwork,
Yeah.
all of them.
Porzingis, right?
Porzingis too,
He's
yeah.
like the foreign KD, right? In a somewhat, in relative terms,
Mhm,
a height,
mhm,
shooting ability, all that.
yeah.
But my point with that whole like the Ryan Russillo thing with like when is the next best player going to be, American? But it's
We
like,
let's take it
I,
at face value, though, like, let's do the top 5 right now. Who's
okay,
the
well, Jokic number one right
Mhm.
now, in my opinion. There's no Shea is not behind anyone else. It's
S
Shea right behind Jokic,
so
and then
Jokic,
after
Shea,
that, it's
Luka.
like it's yeah, and you look even you could say Luka. If he's healthy, it's got to be Luka, right? But if you're talking to maybe a Celtics fan or people that are
Ta
just more
Yeah.
interested in players that are available and in shape and they're two-way players, some people will actually right now start putting Tatum like ahead of Luka, even though I would still have Luka ahead of him. So where are we at?
Notice
We're
I'm
at
taking a sip notice I'm taking a sip of my big face mug while you talk about
well,
the
Jimmy's
Celtics.
not going to be in this top five, so
Yeah, I know.
um, so we got Jokic, Shea, obviously Giannis would be in there. So that's like
You're not putting Tatum in the top 5, bro. I don't care. I know I'm wearing green,
okay.
but Tatum is not top 5. Not
Okay,
right now.
so who do you put over Tatum right now? Because obviously right now Embiid is not
Well,
in
you
the
just said I'm gonna put Giannis over him,
okay.
okay? If Embiid is healthy, obviously that's the big caveat with Embiid. He's probably 5,
So
right?
assuming he's what he is right now, which is clearly not healthy and clearly does not look like he's ever going to be the same because he's not looking good right now.
Yeah, and I would agree. He's not
So
5
who?
because of that.
So what? Wemby? Like, there's a case for that,
Wemby at
but
5 right now? We're not talking about upside start your team. We're talking
not
about, like, 1
upside,
game.
not
1
upside.
game. We're
Um,
talking 1 game. Who are you gonna take
One
to build
game. I
this
mean,
team?
some people are going to put Ant in there,
I was
but
gonna say I'd
but
probably
this
put
season I probably wouldn't.
let me tell you, Kyrie's balling out. I don't know if you can put him top
Yeah.
5, but,
No, I
I mean,
wouldn't. I
he's
wouldn't.
playing the best I've ever seen him play, to be honest with you,
Yeah. So if
right?
it's not Embiid, like the five's kind of up for grabs if you're not putting Tatum in there, which honestly I disagree. I would put Tatum on
Bam
the five.
Adebayo.
I would put Tatum at the five slot. Just because like he's consistent, does the job every night. He's a two-way
Ta
player.
Tatum's in the
And
top 10. It's not shade on Tatum. It's just I feel like there are other guys that I would take over him at this point. Maybe it's
right
because
now,
he frustrates me.
are you
Frust
taking Ant or Tatum right now this season? Because I'm taking Tatum and I won't even think about it. This season.
If you're gonna just
Yeah.
base it on this season,
Yeah.
I'm gonna still go Ant, but
Okay.
nonetheless,
You love
but
Ant though.
I do love Ant. He's my favorite player of all
I love
time.
him too.
Also, like, we
But
forget about Ja Morant, I know, but
nah, eh,
he fell off. Mhm.
he ain't top 5.
Man, it's like when he was taking all those mistakes outside, like, everything else just kinda fell apart too. It's just crazy. But,
Yeah. But back to
but
the
I
like
have been
this
pretty bad this season, by the way, in terms of because of my Heat viewership, because
mhm,
of, like, the whole Heat situation, and I haven't
it
been able to
hindered
watch as
your
many games as I
whole
want, it's thrown my whole flow off.
yeah,
I've definitely always watched more basketball than I've watched this season, and because I can't
yeah,
catch my local games, I get no sense of my own team most of the time, and I get no sense of any other team that we're playing.
yeah.
So, this is probably the most lost I've been in a while,
Yeah.
NBA wise. But,
Well, there's no more football to distract, so now you'll be able to at least lock
no,
in some extra time on that.
we got the other football going crazy,
Oh,
so
well.
Champions League
What
and all that. But
about,
alright.
like, as far as the doc, though? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
if we're forecasting, like, our concerns for future Olympics, right? Like, we're looking at what the situation is looking like, and, like, I'm thinking we're not gonna be able to hide behind the shield of KD, Steph, and LeBron for much longer. LeBron, for sure, this was his last Olympics. Like, that's locked
Yeah,
in.
yeah, for sure.
Steph, if he wants to do it, he'll be on, right? But I don't know if he's gonna do it again. KD, I would say, is probably the most likely guy to maybe do
Do
it
one more.
again,
He'll do it. He'll
right?
100% he'll do it. 100%.
Right. So then there goes our two of our most important players on this Olympic team that were arguably N and by the way, Steph very quietly was not having a good Olympics. Like, a lot of people, they don't know that because he had those last 2 important games against Serbia and France, where he does the night-night at the end. He
Mhm.
saved us for sure, and he was huge against Serbia, but up until that point, he was not having a great Olympics, and people aren't really gonna look back and remember that. You gotta go back and see he was struggling a little bit, he wasn't really LeBron was the most consistent great Olympic player doing a little bit of everything every single game,
The thing
which
with
is impressive.
the thing
Yeah.
with LeBron is at this stage in his career, he is like mega mind. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
in some sense, if you give LeBron a team like this, there was 0% chance that he was leaving the Olympics without gold. Like, there
Right.
was just 0 there's no way in hell that he
Yeah.
was going over there to not come back with gold, and
Yeah.
that's the stage of his career that he's in, I think. Um,
Agreed. Yeah.
where does it leave us? Documentary of where, like, the talent's going. I think there's an ebb and flow, bro. I mean, France has the most young talent, right? But if they lose Wemby, then they're back to they're definitely not going to be as scary, right?
Assuming
Um,
they will have Wemby.
assuming they have
Yeah.
Wemby, they have the youngest, most
They have
talented
a
core
I
right
mean,
now.
I have it written
Okay,
down here. I did a little search for France, like their players. Okay. Wemby, 7'3". Alex Sarr, the rookie for the Wizards that we were talking about not too long ago, 7 feet.
hmm
Another
hmm
extremely versatile, high potential, Wemby type potential defensively that people aren't really talking about too much. Zach Risache, 6'8", can shoot. He's a 6'8" Derek White type, potentially. Rudy Gobert, say what you want about him. He's 32 years old. He could be around for another 2 Olympics, right? He's a sizable guy. He can block shots.
Yeah, yeah, I
Those
get it.
guys, international, they play for a long time. Look at Rudy Fernandez from Spain. That guy played until he was like 80.
Yeah,
This was his last Olympic run. He was like 42. I don't remember how
And
old he was.
Rudy's always been durable.
Yeah, and he's going to be a rim protector. He's going to rebound. He's going to dive to the basket, catch some lobs, whatever. Do the easy stuff. Another sizable guy. But then we get these other 3 guys that people are sleeping on. Usman Jeng, who's 6'9", dominates the G League. He's dropping 30 points whenever he wants when the OKC Thunder send him there, right? He's a guy that OKC quietly has had for a long time, and he's still really young. You look at Musa Diabate, another 6'9", just monster rebounder for the Hornets. Super sleeper player. Check him out if you want like a sleeper rebound guy for your bets. And then the lottery pick, another lottery pick that they have, Tijon Salon, 6'8". He was like the quote unquote raw Giannis of
hmm
the draft. Now he's super raw, but freaky athlete. The numbers are really bad on offense, but he shows you a lot of flashes. So this is gonna be like a really sizable, versatile, two-way type of team that could cause a lot of problems, in the future.
So remember one of the controversies, and this is kind of what I want to preface with
Yeah.
this. Kerr talks about one of the most difficult things being the coach of Team USA is playing time, right? None of
Yeah.
the other countries deal with that. I don't care. France, Serbia, none of them deal with it. None of them play in the most elite league, most of their players,
Right.
like ours do. Okay.
Yeah. Agreed.
Um,
Yeah.
our schedule, I don't know what the European basketball schedule is, but our schedule sucks when it lines up with the Summer Olympics. Like really sucks.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that is literally the only time of the year those guys get as a break. Like
Yeah.
that they take maybe a few weeks off from
They
working
play
out.
2
Okay.
games a week overseas.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
So
it's like a 40
here
game season. Yeah.
we're doing 82, which to
Yeah.
me, I know it would mess up all the stats if we went forward, but
The
82
money.
is just too many games, bro. Cut it to 70, cut it to I don't know, man, but
Yeah.
we talked about this. How can you
We
fix the
did.
league? I
Yeah.
would take more of a Premier League approach with a lot of stuff. But anyways, we're not going to talk about that right now. But you're
Yeah.
talking about where does it leave Team USA? Well, hopefully KD passes down his hatred for the French to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
There's definitely a rivalry there. I'm not talking literally that
Mhm.
he hates them, but is there anything more American and I'm
Yeah.
assuming more
Right.
French than talking shit about the French?
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing more American than
More
talking shit
American
about the
than talking.
French.
Yeah.
And by the way, the
Yeah.
French talk shit about us.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's all
For
good. We
sure.
do it
It's
back
a
and forth.
classic.
We always help each other out when the metal or the rubber meets the road, we always help each other out. More
Yeah.
us helping them, but they helped us in the beginning. Thanks for the solid back in the revolutionary days.
Yeah.
Um, but Katie needs to pass that down to Anthony Edwards, who's gonna
Yeah.
be the next Captain America.
Hey, and
I
Tatum
hope
and Brown.
and that's where I was gonna get
Yeah.
to. One of the controversies in the Olympics, if I'm remembering correctly, was that Tatum was benched a lot during this
He
Olympic run.
barely played, man. He barely
He
played.
barely played. Why?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no reason a player like that. And I'm not blaming it on Kerr.
yeah, for
Did he
sure.
see? Was there a absent mentality there of like
So,
Bam
I'll tell
Adebayo?
you,
I love Bam.
he was great
He
and
played
was
like
awesome.
a ton of minutes in the
Yes,
Olympics.
and so
And
was
by the way,
AD.
and Bam is
Yeah.
that guy
Yeah.
who can fit into any team. He's the
Agreed.
perfect team player.
Yeah.
Okay. Not just saying this is a Heat guy, but Tatum this is why you can't put him in the top 5 because if you just went to the Olympics and you weren't able to crack the top 5, he's better than Booker, bro. And I love Booker, but he's better than Booker.
He's better than Booker.
He
But
has the tangible advantages over Ant size wise, right?
yeah.
You should be able to secure some minutes, dude. At this
So, I
point in your
agree.
career,
I agree with that. Obviously, hello, he just won the finals, right? His
so
teammate, by the
what?
way, Jaylen
When
Brown,
MJ,
wasn't on this
when
team
when
who won
MJ
that
went to
finals
the
MVP.
92, dude, he has Kobe everywhere, okay? He's got
Yeah.
Kobe on his profile picture. He
Yeah.
always talks about the mama
Kobe
mentality. Everything's
tattoo.
about Kobe. Kobe tattoo.
Yeah. Kobe
Jordan,
wristband.
who was Kobe's Kobe? Who's
Jordan.
Jordan? Okay.
Yeah.
What did Jordan do in 92? I think he won the championship that year, didn't he?
It was against the Suns. He had played Barkley. That was
Yeah.
either 92 or 93 where
They
he played
won though.
Barkley, and yeah, that was his
And
first
he
no, his
and he
first
played
championship was against the Lakers, sorry.
against
So
the
that might
Lakers,
have
yeah.
been that first, might have been fresh off that Lakers finals or against the Suns finals. It was one of
I
those
think
two.
it was their second finals that they won.
If it
I
was the
think.
second, it was the Suns one. Yeah.
We could look it up quickly if we wanted to, but
Yeah.
either way, if you
So
want to
yeah.
be in that category, you can't make excuses.
Yeah.
You just won the finals.
So here's
You
where
got
I'll
you got to
push
play.
back a little. And I'm not even a big Tatum guy.
And you won the MVP, right?
No. No,
Oh,
no. Brown did, who wasn't
Brown
on
won the
this team
MVP.
either, by the
Who
way.
should have made it over Tatum if that's the case?
Who arguably should have made it over Tatum. But like, here's where I'll push back, right? And I do have this in my notes. Tatum, it was like, why isn't this guy playing? Two-way player, perfect type of versatile defender, and like guy that can get to the basket for Team USA. But here's the problem: Derek White, right? A guy like Derek White and a guy like Drew Holiday, they're taking up a lot of minutes because you're asking Derek White to be Derek White. You're asking Drew Holiday to be Drew
To be Drew
Holiday.
Holiday,
You're
yeah.
not asking Tatum to be Tatum. You're asking Tatum to be Derek White on a role type of thing. And it's difficult for some guys, And like,
When you have KD doing what he's doing, that's usually Tatum's role, right? Is a KD type
right.
player
And you're
who
gonna do
settles
KD
for way
over
too
him.
many jumpers.
Yeah.
He's not an efficient shooter.
And he was struggling with the three that whole season,
Last season, yeah.
regular season, plus in the finals with the three, plus in the Olympics, he wasn't shooting it well, even though it's hard to get a rhythm when you're in and out of lineups. But like I said, like it's just like you're asking a guy to also not be himself. and you're asking all the other role guys to just, hey, do what you do on those Celtics teams. Like that's
KD
pretty.
summed it up perfectly. He
Yeah,
has a good sense. He's grounded in what
yeah,
the Olympic thing is. He says he loves the Olympics because he's around 12 of the best players in the world. I guess 11, right? There's 12 guys on the team. No, it's probably
yeah.
15, maybe.
Uh,
3
Good
reserve? No,
question.
or they just do 12.
Well, we had I mean, I could name them all. We got AD, Booker,
Hey,
KD, Bam, LeBron, Steph, Embiid, Tatum,
Ant.
Tyrese Halliburton, uh, who we kind of forgot about, Derek White. Um, did I say I said Devin
I
Booker?
already
I
said
think
if you said Ant with Ant,
I
it's
didn't
11.
say Ant.
You
So
already
Ant 11.
I know that's 11.
Okay, so who are we missing?
You already said Booker. You're missing Drew Holiday. Did you say Holiday?
I might have not said Drew. So okay, so that's our 12. Yeah,
Did you say Bam?
I did, and I said AD too, and LeBron and Steph and Halliburton, who a lot of people forget was on that team too.
Kyrie should have gone, man.
Maybe, but again, he had that
Should have gone.
whole Nike thing. There's always that conspiracy where he
What Nike
swapped
thing?
up. Yeah, where he doesn't have a Nike shoe anymore. Remember, he had that whole thing with the book that he promoted, and then he was going through all that crap where he basically was at odds with Nike. Now he's with Anta, I think. Doesn't Kyrie have another shoe?
I don't know.
And if you're not really a Nike guy, you know what they say. Like, if you're not a Nike guy, Team
You
USA,
don't
it's
get to
like a
make
whole
Team USA?
conspiracy. Obviously, Ant
Well,
is an
say that
Adidas
to
guy.
Ant. He's
Yeah,
Adidas.
he's an Adidas guy. But yeah, it's a big conspiracy. I don't know if I buy into that though. Yeah,
Dude, I think what you have, and to kind of like talk about where does Team USA go from here, what Team USA has had is a lot of disappointments, I think, in terms of projected talent and what they've turned into. If you think about the talent that just pure talent, okay,
yeah.
there's no reason John Morant is not on this damn team. Okay. There's no reason Zion Williamson is not more disciplined and not
Well, he
on
was
this
hurt.
team. I get it, but Zion's been a disappointment for what from what he was projected to be and what he could have been. He still is a
Yeah,
great player, don't get me wrong,
yeah,
but we're talking about like greatness, right?
yeah.
Tatum and Brown, I think Brown is he's going to have to do another step up to get out of the shadow of Tatum, I guess, because there's definitely that rivalry between the two. Brown
Well,
definitely believes he's the better
well, he won
player
the Finals
than him and
MVP
Tatum,
and the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So,
which makes it crazy that he didn't make Team
which makes it
USA.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
he was guarding Luka full court in the finals. He was guarding a lot of the best players. Tatum was doing a rare job. It's something the Celtics do where they put him on centers, which is interesting too for those pick and roll coverages where he just uses his length. But
Yeah.
like,
So
like
that's
I
where
said,
we
we
Team
were
USA.
forecasting. Like
Who's the
the
starting
team
five without our three
without
legends?
those guys.
Yeah,
Well, you think Ant's in there, right?
100%. Halliburton probably.
Is Booker still in there?
No, I don't think Booker makes the five. I think it would
Okay,
be I think it
so
would
we're
be
are we?
Halliburton on the Halliburton.
Nah, I don't think
I,
Hallie starts on that team.
you don't think so?
He was awesome for our World Cup team, which was the
Well,
year
I'm
prior.
I'm not saying
But
it because I think he's the best among the best 5 that we'd have. I'm saying it because I feel like you always have that one guy who is just a
like a
defender,
facilitator.
role play exactly, that you
Well,
put him
here's
at the
the
1.
thing: the U.S.
Yeah,
also worries about two-way versatility. Like they don't
and
want any loose ends
Halliburton
on
has that.
defense.
He has that.
He can't guard, man. So like he's a
Well,
guy that's
he should
like
be able to for his
he
size,
should
to be
because
honest.
yeah, but he can't. He's not a good defender at all. So it's like if you have Hallie out there, which I'm not completely against because he can definitely space the floor. He loves transition, and U.S. basketball they love playing in transition, picking off steals, getting out and running. So Hallie would excel there. That's how we excelled at the World Cup, even though we didn't medal.
Yeah.
But Hallie there, okay. Well, now we need a bunch of two-way guys and rim protectors to kind of hide Hallie the
So,
way we were hiding Steph.
does Bam
Because
start?
well, I loved Bam and AD, that duo. But what if we don't have
So
AD because of health, right? Like that's always a concern.
oh, come on, let's not do that. Let's just take
Okay,
it
let's
at
just
face
say it.
value who we
Okay,
have.
cool. So,
AD's
okay,
definitely starting. He's
do
our
we bring
5.
back Embiid? Hell no, right? He's done,
Well, that's
right?
the tough
By
one.
that
That's the
point,
tough one. That one,
4 years from now,
he literally feels done.
it's every four,
He
right? Or every
every
two,
4, yeah,
every
every 4
four.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no way, right? Like he's done. He was cooked even in this one. And like if you go look at his numbers, people are gonna be like, man, he was killing. I was like yelling at the TV, hoping he would come out of every game. because he just slowed the hell out of our pace. He would turn the ball
Yeah.
over. He was foul hunting. It was just bad. And then in transition, like if we turned it over, he was never getting back. It was horrible. We needed him against Jokic. I think that was the whole reason that
You're
we
gonna
even brought Embiid.
you're gonna need guys to make a jump to compete internationally. But look, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna I'm not gonna freaking glaze the internationals either. Argentina
Yeah.
beat us in '03, I think it was.
Oh,
Okay,
4. Yeah.
'04.
Yeah.
Where's Argentina today? Their
No,
team
they
is
didn't even
nowhere.
qualify. They lost to the Bahamas, I believe, in the qualifier to make it.
And
Yeah.
eventually, this is my point. Eventually, they will be great again. They will get a star
Maybe.
who will come along. No, they will. It's just the way things go. A country that
Yeah.
likes basketball will
Yeah.
eventually get back there again.
Right now, their best
And
player
same
is
with
washed up Campazzo. So they've got a
yeah,
long way to
they are
go. They're in a
far. They have a
rebuild.
long way to go.
Yeah.
My point is more along the lines of eventually they will be in the France place again. In some sense, they will
Maybe.
have a dominant team that can come back in. Like look at Spain. Spain was not dominant
Spain
in this tournament,
barely made the Olympics this year, and they're in a rebuild too. Like they got the
but
Hernan
they
Gomez brothers.
But they used
Okay,
to have a
you know
dominant, they used to have the
the
Gasol brothers, Ricky
Ricky
Rubio. They used to
Rubio.
have, let's
Who
see
else
old let's
was
see old Rudy
Rudy
Fernandez.
Fernandez? Yeah,
They had a bunch of guys that were ballers, and
yeah.
now they're restructuring. They're gonna have
They're in a
eventually a star
rebuild
who
right
comes
now.
along.
Yeah,
So same thing with the US. I mean, we're gonna probably have an off year, and the next maybe the next one or the one after that, we're gonna have an off year. I would say maybe next one we might be okay, but I think it'll be really tough.
yeah. It's gonna be
Um,
yeah,
And then the
yeah. Because
down one, you just never know who comes along, dude. Is Cooper Flag that guy, or is he gonna be? Is it the Duke curse of the guy who
well,
kind of comes out who's hyped?
he'll probably be on the World Cup
Is
team,
he
but he probably
is he
won't
good?
crack the Olympic
You
team right away.
you've watched him more than me because, like I said, I've been bad this year, so that
Yeah,
you'll definitely
yeah.
expose me on my this
And
year
I'm actually
knowledge.
gonna see him this week. Thank you for reminding
Where
me.
at?
They're playing UM on the 25th, so I'm gonna see him in 3 days. Yeah.
Is that a sold
Um,
out game?
I don't know, but I got the tickets like 2 months ago. I didn't
Oh
want them to
snap!
get locked in. But what were you gonna ask me? Just like what I think about Cooper Flag? This guy is amazing. He's
Yeah.
just he's a beast. He's arguably the best player in college, and he's supposed to be in high school this season. So just take it that
Who's his comparable?
his comparable. The
Does he
the
have a
knock on him
ceiling?
is the shooting. Like that's the
Okay.
part that he's gonna have to work on for sure. But this guy, like, he's a really good passer. He can get to the rim. He's comfortable shooting the ball. He's just not this
Mm.
hyper elite shooter. He muscles his way through. I see him kind of like a Paulo, maybe more polished Paulo, because he likes to step
Is
back.
Paulo? What is his nationality?
He is he's Italian. Yeah.
Does Paulo play for the? He doesn't play for the Italians.
No, he played for our World Cup team last year.
That's what I'm.
2 years ago before the Olympics. So Paulo would
Oh, we're
realistically
we're
be on our
okay.
Olympic team.
We're
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna
We're
have
okay.
guys, man. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we're
have
okay,
guys.
bro.
Yeah,
Look, there's
for
another guy
sure.
who we're not talking about who should be on. De'Aaron Fox is I think good enough to be on
Well,
Team America.
maybe as
We got
off the
guys, man.
bench. Yeah, we got guys. We got guys.
Austin Reeves has slowly turned into the best offensive player in the league now.
Yeah, but
I'm
I'm looking
trolling
at
a little
like
bit,
who else do we
but he's
forecast? Like you're looking at Canada. That's like the other real juggernaut because their team is an NBA team. It's
you're gonna
all
put
NBA
Cat.
players.
You're gonna put Cat.
Cat Ware, he plays for Dominican Republic.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
He wasn't
and they
born in
didn't even
DR.
they didn't even make the Olympics.
Cat wasn't even
Um,
born in DR.
I don't know.
Where
Well, I don't know what the rule is for him, but he represents the Dominican team.
he was born in New Jersey. That's so stupid.
There's a lot of Dominicans in Jersey though.
And tell him to go move to Dominican Republic. Look, what I'm trying to say is
Yeah,
that like maybe I'm biased because like Embiid was supposed to play for
Cameroon.
Cameroon. No, but
Yeah,
wasn't he supposed to? Wasn't there a concontroversy with Embiid that he was supposed to be on the
France.
French team?
Yeah, that too. He had like the ability to like
Dual citizenship
yeah
with them, but he
yeah.
considers himself more American now, so he wants
I
to be on
guess
the
so.
American team. I guess,
Yeah,
right?
and he was getting booed like all Olympics long every time he touched the ball.
Which is fine. Yeah,
That
it's
was funny.
okay. I guess he's kind of a turncoat for them, but
Yeah, but
he's
I'm not like everyone's. I get it. The world's catching up for sure, but at the same time, like when I'm looking at these other countries right now and just looking at where they're at and where they're going to be in a few years, like I said, Spain, complete rebuild. Argentina, complete rebuild. Italy, they're a long way from here.
Mhm.
Australia, really good playmaking team. Low key, they threw the game against Serbia. Like they blew it. They almost beat them. They lost in overtime to them. We would have played them in that medal game.
Uh, Canada
They're
has no
good, but
bigs, Vic.
huh?
Canada has no
Canada,
dominant
that was
bigs.
that was why they lost to France. They were just at a huge disadvantage size wise.
They've
But
got great
Canada's going to be
guards,
a
but
threat.
yeah,
Yeah.
but by the time they get a good big, Murray will be done.
Well, they have Shea,
Okay,
who's just
you got
smack
Shea,
in his
but
prime.
Shea's not enough to beat Team USA. We have our, you
He's
can take
not.
Shea over Amp, but then when you combine the other 4 or 5 guys we have,
Yeah.
there's not enough of what's his face? What's the name of the guy? Dylan. There's not enough Dylan Brooks
Dylan Brooks.
bravado to
Well,
save your ass.
there's
You
not.
know?
But what they do have going for them is they have an NBA-esque style of ball where they have multiple point of attack defenders like Lou Dort. Obviously, Shea is another extra point of attack defender. You have who else am I missing? That's another obviously Dylan Brooks. We talked about him.
Barrett.
Um, RJ Barrett, good defender, not bad. But they also have the spacing on top of their defensive ability. Like, yeah, they're not going to be able to protect the rim because they don't have bigs, but they can space the floor, kind of like in an OKC ish way.
Why didn't Wiggins
Yeah,
play for them?
I don't know. He was having some personal thing going on. I forgot what
Because
what
I
happened,
mean,
but he
because
could have been on
if
that
you
team
had to
too.
say, arguably he's the second best player on that team, arguably,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
something that they
So
would have really needed, to be
yeah, and
honest
then
with
who
you.
else are we looking at? Like Brazil. Come on. Their best player, arguably, was Marcelo Huertas, who is like no longer in the NBA. I remember
You
him
know
when
what
he was on
this
the Lakers.
you
Yeah.
know what this feels like? It feels like when people are like, China's catching up to us, like military. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it might,
It's
but
like,
have you seen our Navy? Have you seen how many they got? Like they have like one carrier. We got like a ton of them. Like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
but
So
they
it's
have a
like,
million
eh,
drones. Like, yeah,
yeah.
they might, but then if we just dedicate ourselves for like a year,
Yeah.
you know, we'll be okay.
Like who else
Uh,
though? Germany? Okay. Franz, Mo Wagner, Dennis
not
Schroeder's
enough.
kind of on the way out in a
Not
few
enough.
years. It's not enough, like, and they killed us in the World
I
Cups,
was
but those were our
I was a
B
little
team.
I was a little upset that the Heat didn't end up with Schroeder on this 3-team trade because I've always loved
Yeah.
Schroeder. I've
Yeah. I
always loved
like him
Schroeder.
too. Wherever he goes, he makes an impact. I've liked
I
him
have
everywhere he's gone. Yeah.
I've always loved this game. Always.
Yeah.
Um, okay, let's talk. We've done a good job on this pod. We're touching on a lot of the themes
We've
that were
touched
there.
like the teams, where they stand and stuff. The documentary though, have we touched that enough? The doc itself?
Yeah, because we're talking about everything we've talked about are things that have been, for the most part. I know we've gone into Jimmy talk a lot, but
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that we've talked about this is for people who've watched the show. These are the topics that you would come out of there with it. Let's not forget France is going to lose some of their core guys too. Batum, Fournier. They were
Yeah.
talking
Exactly. They
mad
were.
smack
Yeah.
in
Which is cool.
episode 1, which is I love that.
Yeah.
And Katie's response to it is fantastic because the producer's egging him on in the background.
Yeah, for sure
Like,
he
hey,
is.
you heard what France said?
You heard what they said?
Yeah, and he says,
Yeah.
"You can play together
Yeah.
every day for the last 5 years. It's not
Yeah.
gonna help you." I love
I
that,
did
man.
wanna bring up, like, that was really funny. That was, like, a probably one of the best moments in
Best
these
moment
3
in
episodes.
the whole. So, what would you
Yeah.
say were the best 3 like, if you put them count, what were your
Yeah.
3 favorite moments for the first 3 episodes? I'll say mine, and
Yeah. Go
you
ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, me
Oh, you want me
first?
to?
Okay.
Yeah, you go first. You're the guest.
So I would say KD number 1, that whole France thing, that was
Mhm.
hilarious to me. Number 2, it would be just, I guess it's not more of a moment, it's more of, I guess, like, a choice of how they decided to produce this documentary, which is how they bounce around. I didn't know they were gonna do it like that. I thought it was gonna be more focused on the US team. I like that they bounced around and gave us, like, moments with the Serbian team, they gave us some moments with the
I
French
enjoyed
team.
that as well.
That was
Yeah.
awesome. Number 3,
Serbia to me is the second most interesting after the US.
I agree.
Canada
Yeah.
Canada doesn't there's the storylines to me are not there yet with Canada. Maybe now because there's drama with like the Trump tariffs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It hits a little harder now because there's a little bit of a Canadian rivalry. Which, by
Yeah.
the way, let's talk some conjecture here.
Okay.
What if we
We
Canadians are
combine.
gonna hate this. We take them as our 51st state. Okay,
Well, we're never
we
gonna lose, I don't
acquire
think, again.
we acquire Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, game over for the next,
It's over.
for the next 10,
Yeah.
15 years. 16 years. We got
It's
dominant.
over.
That's it.
Yeah.
Done so.
But And the third one, I'd probably say just
I'd acquire Canada as the 51st state just to get Shea.
just to
What
get
do we gotta
Shea.
give
That's our
up?
selling
What do we
point.
gotta give up? What do
Yeah.
we have to give up? Yeah, anyway, sorry, go ahead. USG.
No, it's cool. The third one, I would say my favorite moment, just because now I'm in this coaching space with these high schools, and I would say it was the moment with Kerr and Ant during a
Okay.
practice where
You
he's
gotta
kind of telling
rebound.
him like, "Look, man, you got the skill, you got the athleticism, like you're this freak athlete, you do it all, but it's the little things where the all-time greats like really get to that next level." Like he was talking about LeBron working so hard in these practices, and it's so true. It's the boring things, it's the little things where these guys get ahead like by a mile with their counterparts. It's doing the little boring things, and I
The
want to
worst
see Ant also take that on.
I wanna see him take the next step
Yeah.
and it's crazy to say the next step because he's already great, but
Yeah.
the worst thing he could do right now is to, because he's telling, "I'm the truth, I'm the truth." Believe you're the
Yeah.
truth.
Right.
That's fine. That's 100% fine,
Hmm.
but it's not enough, and I think he knows that. He's a killer. Like, so I
Yeah.
think I think he has that killer mentality. That's why Wemby, if anybody's the biggest concern healthy, it's Wemby, because
Yeah.
Wemby is a competitor. Like,
Yes.
he is a killer, and by the way, his head is screwed on right, bro.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
you hear him talk, it's a good dude.
Hmm.
And his thing is he's got that aura, that superstar. He's got the closest to Jordan aura of
Yeah.
likability plus skill overall. I mean,
Yeah.
damn it, he looks like Jordan a little bit, but
Well, the guys we
he
grew up
hasn't.
loving, like the
Yeah,
Kobe vibe,
The
the
Kobe, he's got that.
yeah. Yeah.
But Kobe was more introverted than Ant.
Hmm.
He was not like this good in front of a camera early on in the
No,
career.
but the
Uh,
confidence, right? Like with his
but
ability.
but
Yeah.
Kobe didn't have the charm
Right.
of later in his career. He did, but people early
Yeah.
in Kobe's career was like, he's arrogant as hell. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't a likable arrogance. There's a weird
Yeah.
dynamic between having a likable arrogance and just having an
Yeah.
unlikable arrogance.
Hmm.
Like Conor McGregor has a likable arrogance, or
Yeah.
had when he was at
Had.
the top of his game.
Yeah.
But then other people do not. So it's a
And you're
gift,
right. Yeah.
but he needs to take it to the next level. And does he even stay in Minnesota? Because with the moves that they've been making, getting rid of Cat, super questionable. When you make moves like that, you really risk losing your star down the line,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And they had to do
So
it because they either have to get rid of Nas Reed or was it Jaden McDaniels? I think it was either Nas Reed or Jaden McDaniels who they had to get rid of if they keep Cat. And so do you make the move? Like what do you do? Do you keep Cat?
you never keep Ibaka and
We
get rid
learned
of
that
Harden.
lesson with OKC.
And Minnesota obviously did not. You
Yeah.
don't do that. You
Yeah.
probably would have gotten rid of Nas Reed. You could have replaced Nas Reed, 100%.
Okay.
You can't replace Cat.
You
You
can't
cannot.
replace Cat. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
But
I
you could
look.
argue,
And by the
hey,
way,
Nas Reed is cheaper than Cat. So you could
I
then
don't care. I don't care about that.
add on.
You
Yeah.
have Anthony
Yeah.
Edwards. Don't buy a team if you're looking to be, operate like Payless.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
you're Minnesota, for God's sake. You don't have this
Gotta.
opportunity too many times.
Yeah.
You have it, and you get rid of a top 5 big. Okay.
That's why you were in
Um,
favor of the Gobert trade, which still to this day you could argue was the right move because of what they were able to achieve,
yeah.
at least with Gobert, right? Like they got to the conference finals. All they needed was that guy,
Yeah.
you know?
And so you don't get to do that if you're Minnesota. And by the way, I love Nas Reed. It's not a knock on
Yeah.
Nas Reed. It's just Cat is a better
Yeah.
player than him. Like, you
Hmm.
gotta,
For sure.
spade a spade. And
Yeah.
McDaniel, the only reason I keep McDaniel over um, Nas Reed is because the skill set is hard to find with McDaniel. That two-way wing that's
Yeah.
can guard. I mean, he's disgusting as a perimeter
He's a
defender.
great defensive player. Yeah.
And he could take that pressure off of Ant, who doesn't have to
Yeah.
guard the best guy every night.
Yeah. And
So
in a Michael
eh,
Porter Jr. esque kind of way, when he's going off as that third guy,
he's American too.
the team is very hard to beat,
He's
like when
also
he's knocking them down. Michael Porter
American.
Jr., yes. Yeah.
American. We got the kid from the Knicks, also American, Bridges.
Jalen Brown
Um,
or Jalen Brunson.
yeah, but he has a ceiling, I think, for
He was
Olympic type
awesome
stuff.
at the World Cup, so that's all I'm saying. He's good for the FIBA game because he plays
I
off
love
2
Brunson.
feet. Yeah.
I love Brunson. Yeah, he would be great because he'd be surrounded with everything that he's not in every other
Yeah.
position. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
imagine
he's a good
Brunson
point.
next to all these other guys. Exactly, he's a great
Yeah.
point. Okay, my favorite three.
Yeah.
The KD France moment was
Yeah.
fantastic. Almost every KD moment, if you want to just sum it into the three. His
Yeah.
run against Serbia was fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. That 8 for 8, 24 points that he had.
The group stage game, yeah.
Yeah. Second favorite moment, and I'm not putting these in any order, but just listing them out. Serbia's reaction to open up episode 3 of getting torched by Durant was amazing behind the
Mm.
scenes footage
Yes.
that
Yes,
I
it was.
bet the Serbians maybe didn't even want to put out there. Which is Jokic, who just it doesn't take a brilliant basketball mind to understand, and it's not even a Bam Adebayo stray that he caught,
Yeah.
because he says if you have
It's facts.
if you have Adebayo in the corner and you have Durant at 45-degree angle pretty much on the
Yeah.
on the wing,
On the wing, yeah.
you swing, you cover Durant, you move to Durant, you do not leave him over.
Yeah.
Is Bam a great player? Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
Kevin Durant. You can't leave him open. And Jokic is trying to explain this to the guy who was
Right.
responsible for guarding or to
Right.
do that switch.
Yeah.
And the guy's kind of arguing with him a little bit back and forth, like, and if you don't see that clearly, it does not bode well for you. And the coach calls him out. He's like, I chose the wrong guy to guard Durant.
Chose
That's
the
on me,
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
love that. All those
that was,
international coaches hold their guys accountable.
dude, that's the difference, I think, between, you see, like, Kerr's more of a parent
Yeah.
to our players, because every player on this team is a superstar.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on Kerr. I think that, and
He takes the player to player angle.
there's parallels to it. He does it
Yeah.
in a way that he doesn't put up with bullshit either. Like, he's not scared to make the tough decision. He's not scared to bench Andre Iguodala. I mean, to start Andre Iguodala in the
Mhm.
finals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not scared of the controversial decision. But there's a certain way when a dude is making twice the money you're making. There's
Yeah.
a certain way that you have to coach, and you see it with
For
some of the
sure.
coaches in soccer, like Carlo Ancelotti in Real Madrid. You can't you can't you can't yell at these guys
Mhm.
like the Serbian coach does, and I think that's a
Yeah.
purity that we miss from sports, is that hard ass coach.
Maybe when
I
the
think
money
you
gets there in EuroLeague, it will.
No, I think
When
you
it gets to
can
the NBA.
I think you can yell at players. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I think you do need those moments. You can't be scared of your players. You see those issues all the time when players don't respect their coach. So you got to be able to, like, light them up when you need to.
Yeah.
But there's a way that Kerr is able to do it um, that obviously works well for Team USA. Which
Mhm.
that was my second moment, was the Serbian
Okay.
reminder
I
there.
love
What
that
would be?
moment too. Yeah.
It's tough. I might have to go again with the KD moment when he gets emotional, and
Mm.
he's like starts crying on camera. I thought that was great, but maybe runner up or honorable mention would be Anthony Edwards, jawing back at Barack Obama.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
at the
that
bar
was
over there,
pretty
yeah.
that was pretty hilarious.
That was funny.
And yeah, I was gonna say, who do you
It was
think
funny
is
to
the coach
see,
at?
like, those other players that, like, they really respect Obama. They're a little
Yeah,
older, obviously older than Ant, they have a more adult vibe respect towards him.
mhm,
And then you see Ant kinda, like, more like, he's just
irrelevant.
another
He's
guy
like,
here." You know what I mean?
that's what I was
You
gonna
could
say. Ant
see
was just
that,
like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But that's how Ant treats. He's just himself, man, and that's why
Yeah,
people like him. He's just
yeah,
himself.
yeah.
There's a lesson in that. Um, who's gonna be the coach after Kerr? Is it Spo?
That's a good question, and I actually wanted to bring that up, like, goated coaching staff. I don't wanna, like, even kinda go over that without even, like, talking about this doc without mentioning that. You got Mark Few, who's been with Gonzaga since, like, the '90s. He's
Mhm,
been with Gonzaga for, like, 30 years, and he's been their head coach for over 20. Just excellence, right, as a college coach. Then you have Ty Lue, who everyone
mhm.
agrees just really smart X's and O's guy, has all that XP. Obviously, Eric Spoelstra, like, one of the best coaches we have in the modern time. And then you have obviously Steve Kerr at the helm. Like, it
Yeah,
was a goaded
Jeff Van
coaching staff too.
Jeff Van Gundy's there too.
I he was there. Yeah,
I
he
saw him
was
on
there
camera
while they were like
in
I
Vegas,
don't know if
maybe.
he yeah, I don't think he wasn't there during the Olympics. I don't think he was. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but I remember seeing him at the practices like before they left. And I think he was on that staff with the World Cup team, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But just go to coaching staff. Like, I didn't even want to forget about that.
it might be Spo. Spo was so serious in this
It
doc.
could
And
be
by the way,
Spo.
it was one of my knocks on the documentary would be it's so heavily carried by interviews.
Mm.
I was hoping for a little bit more raw, uncut practice footage and
I
interactions in
would
the practice.
I like that you mentioned that. That's true. Like,
I
where's
would,
all this exclusive coverage that I've been waiting for, right?
yeah, I don't want, I don't know. Have you seen the Formula One Drive to Survive?
I watched some of it, but not all
I
of
don't.
it.
It's really well done. It's probably the
It
best
made
sports
people fans,
documentary. Oh, it
from what
made me a
I've
fan.
heard. Like,
I didn't.
I
I
have
didn't
people that I'm
know.
like, "You're watching what now?" "Yeah,
I
dude, the
didn't know
doc was great."
anything. I didn't know anything about F1 before that
Yeah.
series. Only very surface level. I
Mhm.
would have wanted more features on these players, but then again, you
Yeah.
don't have enough time when you're covering.
Yeah.
We're really covering three nations. We're covering
We're only
USA,
halfway.
Serbia, and Canada, and no France, and no, four teams we're covering.
France, Serbia, Canada, um, obviously the US. Um, but I think we're only halfway. I haven't watched any of the other ones to not spoil myself before the next pod.
Same, same. I haven't
So it
watched
could
episodes,
be maybe we get the other guys,
but we've
but
gotten barely any price.
yeah,
We got no stories
yeah.
um
And
about the other
also
coaches.
a complaint I had too. I like that you mentioned that is carried by the interview. But I also like, I don't know about you, but like to me, when I'm watching like, them interacting, like going to the other sports, it's like, dude, I'm watching this doc because I want to see the behind the scenes with these basketball teams. Like, I don't want to see Bam recording a fencing, like going
I
to a
don't
fencing thing. Like, I
I
get
don't
it.
mind
It's
that.
part of the Olympic vibe, but
I
I
don't
don't
mind
know.
that. I
Yeah.
actually
Okay.
because that felt raw to me. That was an interview.
Mm.
So anything that's being carried by
Oh,
footage of
okay.
stuff that's going on, I'm like, give me more of that. Give me
Okay.
less give me less Malika, Russillo, and
Yeah.
Wilbon, and give me more of this. What the way F1 does it is they
Yeah.
usually pick one journalist. This guy, what the freak is his name? Uh, Will I forget what his name is. He's great. And
Yeah.
that guy, it'll be like one or two maybe. And they're doing the narrative, right? They're helping
Yeah.
piece together, fill in the audience who's ignorant towards the sport, that kind of thing. Do that. To your point about you mentioned, I think you said it about Malika.
Yeah.
Russillo of the three is giving the most tangible,
Yes.
actual
Yeah.
analysis of the
Which I'm
players.
not surprised by.
Malika and Wilbon are just giving surface level.
Yeah.
Wemby's a hooper. KD's a hooper
Wemby,
super.
Shay's
Blah
a
blah.
bucket.
Oh,
It's like, okay.
Canada, they like hockey. Like, dude, okay.
Yeah.
Those are the
Yeah.
soundbite stuff for episode 1. You need the
Yeah.
guy who's gonna piece together the Team USA narrative really, and then leave the rest to the raw footage of what you're seeing.
Mhm.
We got almost 0 LeBron. I'm assuming we gotta get some LeBron. He's done 0 interviews. I'm assuming he
There's no
didn't
way
even do
LeBron is part of this
he did an
team and
interview,
he doesn't get, you
an
know
episode.
yeah, it's gonna happen.
So, figure if I'm a producer, your 3 core guys are because Grant Hill talks about this. The way they built the team is rising stars, prime, and legends. So that's pretty much the way they build, and that's the way we've been building every team since '92, really.
Right.
Um, so if you figure your 3 legends are LeBron, Curry, KD in that order, then you're gonna have KD is the first one. You're as the producer, you're saying we need to have some sort of feature on LeBron and Curry
Mhm.
too. So you're gonna
Right.
get the Curry, you're gonna get the LeBron. You've already got the Steve Kerr, who has a really interesting Steve Kerr's history and story is
He's
crazy.
he's like the Forrest Gump of basketball, kinda, right? Like, he's been
He's like a
everywhere.
he's a Riley-esque type of figure,
Mhm.
in the sense nowhere like his personality, even though he's a killer. I know he smiles and all happy and go lucky.
Yeah.
That guy is a ruthless competitor. You don't get to
Yeah.
do what he does at his level to not be one. But his father's history, his father was an ambassador, a professor in Beirut, when he was killed. He was
Before
assassinated
he
in
was killed. Yeah, yeah.
1984.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has an interesting,
Mhm.
a really, like that's a tough upbringing. He was 18, just got
Yeah.
was playing basketball in college when that happened, and you think about it, as the coach of the USA, like his father now, he's an ambassador to the US,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And think about it, that
And an
happens to your
ambassador of the
dad.
modern game too.
Of the
Like,
modern, yeah, yeah, great. But you think about it, when you grow up with that, you would probably be a little bit angry at the world if you lost your dad in that way. And that maybe not a little bit, a lot of bit.
yeah.
Like you would be like, "Man, if he
Yeah.
was back home, this wouldn't have happened," type of thing. So he's an ambassador, and he's always been a solid representative of USA basketball, I
Yeah.
think, for sure. And then think about it, the organizations he's been able to be a part of, from the Bulls with seeing Phil Jackson, then San Antonio Spurs with Popovich, and then
Yeah.
he ends up being a really successful GM of the Phoenix Suns,
Right. Right.
um, which
Yeah.
people don't really talk about that part of his career, but
They
he was
don't.
there for that
Yeah.
too. But he built. Did he build those D'Antoni teams?
No, I don't think so.
No,
He was on
James
that. He
James
was in the
Jones,
timeline where they brought Shaq, if I'm not
but
mistaken.
that
He
was
was
still
on that.
a great team.
Yeah.
And then
I don't think Steve Kerr
James Jones
was.
took on after him.
No, I don't think he was the GM because it was a Colangelo that was a
Okay,
GM
okay.
at the time. Yeah.
And then he also though he did commentating for a time, and then he stepped
Right, and
down
he
from
was
the
good at that.
commentating.
Yeah.
He was great at that. Yeah, and then he
I'm
goes
telling you,
and
man, this guy's like Forrest Gump, dude. He's like all over
he
the place.
he's
Yeah.
been great at everything he's done. So
Yeah.
he's an interesting element. They've already sort of told his story now. So what I'm looking for in these next few episodes is we got the Serbia story. We heard about the Yugoslavia, the Civil War. We now know how central basketball has been to Serbia. We've
Yeah.
known that if you're a basketball fan and you know a bit of history. Uh, France, I think we need a little bit more Wemby, to be honest with you. I know
Yeah.
we're getting a bit, but
We should.
the dynamic they really showed us in France was how important Tony Parker was to French basketball. And
Boris
then
Diaw.
if you're an NBA conspiracy theorist, uh, how crazy it is that Tony Parker's drafted by San Antonio, and then the
Right.
next great French talent of of what you could
Boris Diaw
project to
too.
be. You know, it took me like 2 interviews with Diaw to realize that was Boris Diaw.
Oh, really?
I didn't recognize him at
Wow.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what
He
happens?
was one
Like
of
you
my
guys got smacked so bad in those finals, and
yeah,
Boris Diaw leading the Spurs with
PTSD. The
assists.
moment I saw him, I
It
saw
just kind of
him
like, yeah,
His Jokic-esque game.
yeah, dude.
Uh, freaking I love Diaw. I will never
He's
hate
awesome.
on Diaw.
He
His
was
game
awesome.
is fantastic.
Side
But
note, yeah.
I always thought he was Brazilian. I'm gonna just admit
Mm,
that. I thought he was
mm,
Brazilian, and it
yeah,
makes it even cooler that he won with the Spurs because he got
yeah.
to play with Parker.
And he almost
And
won on the Revolutionary Sons. He was on that 05-06 team.
if ever I could rewrite history for one team to have gotten just one title, it would have been those Steve Nash Suns.
Yeah, it would have accelerated how we play now
Modern game.
because
Yeah.
it won. It proved that you could win like that, you know?
Yeah.
And they did all that with Boris Diaw in 05-06, that second season where Steve Nash wins the MVP. They did that all without Stoudemire. He was out the entire season,
Kendrick
which is
Perkins
something
is
that I
lucky.
always forget about. Yeah.
Kendrick Perkins wouldn't have a career if
No,
those '07
probably not.
Suns would have won.
Yeah.
If the modern game would have started around '06 or '07,
Hibbert.
players like Hibbert and Perkins would have never had an opportunity to
It
play.
would have
They
been
would have
rough.
been iced out of the league
Yeah.
completely.
And side note about Tony Parker,
Which
which is like this
you must
goes
hate Perkins because he was the X factor in beating your Lakers in that one
Perkins.
finals. To be
Yeah.
honest,
But side note about Tony Parker, Sam Presti, the OKC
yeah,
guy, he actually was an intern on the Spurs, and he was the biggest
crazy.
influence on drafting Tony Parker. He recommended to them that they would draft Tony Parker. He was an intern on the Spurs. That's like a slept on
I
story
put that
about
on
Sam
my.
Presti. Isn't that crazy?
I put that at the top of my resume. Convince the Spurs to get Tony
Insane.
Parker.
Yeah.
What's crazy is the way the Spurs did it. I mean, two international players as your two like main cog pieces, right? Parker with Ginobili,
Yeah.
if you
Ginobili
want to
too. Mhm.
count a third, I mean, Duncan was born in the Bahamas, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I know technically he played
No,
for
he was Virgin
he was like
Islands?
Virgin Islands, one of the
I
two,
think
or
so.
one of like just
Yeah.
that area,
Yeah, yeah,
Caribbean.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's like three. It's kind of crazy, man. Crazy.
Mhm.
Um, you said something right there about OKC really scares me, man. How many
Oh,
draft
yeah.
picks do they have?
They have
Oh,
just
by the way, your love affair with Chet Holmgren, he would be on Team USA too.
he would be a USA guy.
He's a
Yep.
killer too. He's a
Another
killer as
guy.
well. Yeah,
Absolutely. There's another
big
guy
time.
we'd have. We got a lot to pick from, man.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just do. I'm not worried about Team USA.
Jaren Jackson,
Jared
American.
Jackson, look, man, sleeper guy right now, not a big name, but Derek Lively. Like he could
Derek
help us
Lively.
too. He knows how to play in pick and rolls as the roller. He can catch. He can make plays. He's a rim protector. He'll fit Team
Yeah.
USA. Like he'd be a good guy for Team USA too. I
Can I
just
ask
don't
you a
think it's gonna
question?
be that like big name type of players. We're probably gonna start having to like just build good teams with like players that guys are probably going to be like, oh, he's on this team.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see more of that.
Can I ask you what your takes are on, because we covered pretty much 4 coaches. We have Kerr, we have the
Mark
Serbian guy who's
Few.
the legend. You have no, we're not talking about the
Oh,
USA staff completely.
oh.
Kerr, the Serbian guy.
hmm
Who's the French coach?
The French coach is Collet, Coach Collet, I think is his
Okay.
name. I forgot his name, but yeah.
And the Canadian coach is Jordy
The Canadian
Fernandez,
coach is
which is
Jordan Fernandez. He's on the
the coach of
Nets.
the Nets. He's the coach
Yeah,
of the Nets.
and he's doing a
So
really good job.
I
Yeah,
find him interesting because I would love to see more international coaches getting a chance in the league. I know your
yeah,
Lakers effed up
hmm,
David Blatt, but
yeah.
I
Well,
don't even know, is David Blatt
no,
American?
David
He's
Blatt was on
American.
the Cavs. He was the Cavs coach before he got
Cavs
fired.
coach. My
Yeah,
bad. I kind of
yeah.
associated him with
I remember him like about to call the timeout, and then Ty Lue like pulls him back, like, we don't have timeouts. Like they
wasn't
caught
he an
that.
assistant in for the Lakers though on one of their runs, or no?
David Blatt? Nah, man, I don't
No,
think
I'm
so.
tripping. I'm
I don't
tripping.
remember David Blatt on the Lakers at
But
all.
he
He was an
coached this
international guy.
Israeli team, I think.
Maccabi Tel Aviv, maybe, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't remember. I'm not sure.
Anyways,
But another international coach we have in the NBA is on the Raptors, and that's Darko Rajakovic, who like look like I like him. He preaches like motion. It's like the typical international style that he wants to preach.
yeah,
He just
yeah.
doesn't have the team to really show, what he can do with it. So, I don't know
Where
what
is
his
he at?
future's gonna look like. He's on the Raptors. Darko
Okay.
Rajakovic. Yeah. Who else do we have international wise? I think
It
that's
would be
it.
cool to see more of those guys for
Yeah,
sure.
Jordy was also from Spain. So I don't know how he got the
How did he
Canadian.
get the Canadian? I
I'm
don't
not
like that.
sure. I'm not entirely sure. But he was from Spain.
I
Um
listen to a lot of I'll listen to like soccer podcasts, and these guys who
yeah.
are English nationals, like there was a point, who's the new English coach? The new English national coach is German. Okay,
Mm.
obviously, their World War II history going back. The guy was pretty much straight up on the pot, and his name's Gary Lineker. He's one of the most celebrated like commentators and ex like players. He was very good as a player as well over there. And he was
Okay.
saying, it doesn't quite sit right with me, a German being the coach of the English national team.
You think he'll
And
sabotage it?
oh, he can't. I mean, he might talk crap about him in the media, but no, he's not going to
Mhm.
talk crap about the team. It's just more of a, you do want somebody born in your country to be
To
the coach
represent
of
the
to represent the team.
mm.
And I don't know how Jordy got to Canada, but it would have
I'd
been
have to
cool if
look
Jordy
back at
was
it,
the
but
coach
I'm
of
pretty sure
Spain.
he's from Spain. I'm pretty sure.
It is. I
No,
looked it
well,
up.
well, it's gonna be hard for him to surpass the coach that's in Spain. He's one of the best coaches, and he actually brought in one of like those more advanced pick and roll actions, which is the Spain pick and roll. That's
I would
Sergio Scariolo. He's on the Spanish national team, and
see,
he's
like, it
gonna
would
be
be
there
cool.
as long as
It
he
would be
wants.
cool to me to see him like go to the NBA for some reason, but I don't.
Yeah,
You
for sure, for sure. I mean,
and
we've
he would need a
taken
translator with the players and stuff, but
yeah. I mean, he popularized the Spain pick and roll in Rio. That's where it really like took off. That Spain
mhm.
pick and roll, and now we see it. It's like in every team has it in their playbook these days.
Break it down for the audience what a Spain pick and roll is.
It's essentially one screen that's really high up, right on the ball. Let's say you have the ball and you call for a high pick and roll.
Mhm.
Basically, that big man that comes up to set that high screen, another guard or wing comes up behind that big man that's screening for you and screens his man. So basically, it's
You're
like
open,
a
getting 2 guys
screen
open.
and then a screen behind him. And then basically, what happens is the big man typically dives to the basket and you'll have a lob option. Sometimes that second screener behind him will like leak out and he'll find himself open for a three because they're worried about the big man diving. It's basically just a double screen, you know. But Sergio Scariolo popularized it in 2016 with in Rio with the Spanish team. But that was the last time that like they were really a big threat Olympic wise that I can remember. Maybe I'm forgetting what they did the next year, but I don't know. And by the way, Argentina, like just randomly thinking in my head because I had it in my notes, that's the first time they don't make the Olympics in like 20 years.
What an
No, I'm
Olympics
sorry.
to miss too.
Uh,
It should be an eye opener for them, to be honest.
was it Argentina that I think that's what it was. But Canada, they haven't medaled since 1936. That's what Jordi Fernandez said, I think, in the documentary, which is
Mhm.
insane. And obviously, they're gonna have to wait a little longer now. Yeah, because they didn't medal this
Good,
time. They lost to France.
good, good,
Yeah.
Jordy. And if you're the 51st state by in the next 4 years for taking
That's
Shea
good.
from you too.
Yeah. Well, maybe we give them, kind of like what the Lakers do with Minneapolis. We kind of take those
We just
chips.
give him a franchise.
Yeah, yeah. You know.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Bro, believe it or not, we've talked about almost everything. I did wanna give a little shout out to the French cooking team. That was insane. I'm
Dude,
assuming every
yeah.
player I'm assuming every team gets that,
They got yeah.
but you're in Paris, so you got, like, the literal French cooks cooking it up, and you got, like, every player tells what
Yeah.
they want. Well, what was
Yeah.
really interesting to me is he said certain players get inflammation when they eat eggs, and I was like, "Who
Yeah.
gets inflammation when they eat eggs?" Then I was like,
Not
"Do I
me.
get inflammation when I eat eggs?" I was like, "I don't know. I
No.
don't what does that even look like? What does
Is
that
that
feel
why
like?"
we're bloated all the time? We eat eggs and we
Because
don't
we
even
eat
know?
eggs.
I eat
Maybe.
eggs every
Y
fucking day.
Yeah, inflammation is the cause of a ton of, like, diseases. It's insane.
Mm.
Anyways,
That's funny
I
that you
also
mentioned
want
that because I wrote that down and I was like, it's probably not that important. Like
yeah,
the
oh,
food.
I wrote that down
Yeah.
too. Um,
Yeah.
I also wanted to try that hyperbaric chamber that Gobert was in.
Oh, the one Gobert was napping in.
That is cool. That is
Yeah,
really
I think
cool.
Joe
What
Rogan's
is that
talked about
even
that thing. It like
what do
it's like
you
some you feel like you're not like you're elevated, if I'm not mistaken, if it's that machine that I'm talking about. And
sick.
yeah, or maybe I'm thinking about a different machine that Joe Rogan's talking about. Because he gets in like
Hmm,
this other machine where he feels like he's literally in space.
yeah.
You kind of feel like you're levitating. But I think I've never been in a hyperbaric chamber, so I have no idea.
Yeah, me neither.
I would like
Alright,
to
so
feel that too.
we've covered every talking point, believe it or not, that I had
Yeah.
in my notes, and, I guess we could
Yeah.
end it, like, do you wanna do any sort of, um, best team of all time for each country? Is there anybody in this team that would
Well,
have started in the dream team?
anyone on this team?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm
Who
subbing out Larry Bird because he's at the end of
he
his
was out of
career.
his
He's
prime?
playing on a bad
Okay.
back. Like
So you're subbing out
he's
Larry,
not what he
okay.
was. We can forget
Yes,
that part.
okay.
If you really want to go
So
the
who you
point
bringing
guard
in
route,
for Larry, KD?
KD for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Charles Barkley, see you later. LeBron is gonna play that 4 slot or 3 slot. Like I don't
That's
care.
fair. That's fair.
You're talking about only this team, right? Like going to that
Yeah,
92 team,
we're just gonna take this team because it'd be too much to talk about everybody
dude.
else.
Yeah, no, it's too much. So like John Stockton, like okay, cool. Um, I don't know. I'm still gonna think about someone else that could probably come off the bench there. Like,
Anthony Edwards,
well, if we're talking like, do we have to sub him
Curry.
for another point or
Well, so
just whoever
then
we want?
who was the starting 5 on the dream team? It was Magic,
It was Barkley, Magic, Jordan.
Bird.
Um, I don't remember that Bird. He
Hold
might have.
on.
No, I don't think he was starting, dude. I know Barkley was like the best player.
David Robinson? Okay, so this is who they're telling me
Mm,
was the starting 5.
yeah, the starting five:
Magic. Do you wanna guess
Magic,
it
Jordan.
before I tell
I'm
you?
gonna guess it. Magic, Jordan, Barkley.
Wrong. You're all wrong on Barkley.
Barkley didn't start.
Ac According to AI, you're wrong.
He
Hold on,
was
bro.
like
AI's gotta be tripping. Give me a second.
he was like one of the best. He might have been the best Olympic player for us.
I'm gonna tell you what AI is telling me,
Yeah, let me see.
and
I'm gonna look it up too.
it's telling me Magic, Jordan, Ewing, Malone, and Pippen.
Pippen was the guy that I forgot about on that 5-man lineup. Yeah, 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 yeah. But I'm surprised. I feel like Barkley
I
was
don't
starting.
I feel like that's the case as well.
Let's see. Let's see. Let's make sure. I'm the All Things Basketball podcast, and I can't tell you the most historic starting five in USA. See, our scoring leader was Barkley. That's why I remember him being our best scorer, so I assumed he was starting. He was our scoring leader, dude, and he wasn't starting. I don't know. I
It
guess
doesn't
so,
sound
dude.
right.
I mean, it makes sense. Like Jordan Pippen, right? You're obviously that tandem for sure. Magic, we know he was starting, but I thought it was Barkley. Hmm. All you have to do is go on YouTube and just put like one of their
Yeah,
games.
yeah, we'll figure. All right, so off
Yeah, yeah,
air, we'll get this answer before the next one. But I
yeah,
guess a good consideration. All this talk about
yeah.
how good the other nations are. There's
Hmm.
only 2 players that you would take from the other nations right now and put them on.
Oh, from
Like
the
if you
like
combine,
the current
there's only 2 players right now currently who
Jokic,
would
no
Jokic
question.
and Shea.
Well, there's an argument for Giannis, right? There's no
Of
argument
course,
for that.
Giannis.
He
Of
was
course,
he was at
Giannis.
the
That's
Olympics.
but they don't feature Greece, so I'm only talking
You
about
could
the
say
guys that
Luka.
they're.
He wasn't. Slovenia didn't make it,
But we're taking
but
5. We're taking 4 guys well, maybe 5 because Jamal Murray, Shea.
Nah, nah,
No,
nah. He was
You don't take
horrible.
Murray.
He
You
was
don't take Murray
horrible in this
over
Olympic
Derek
run.
White.
I just feel like Derek White's going to do a better job of being Derek White versus hoping Jamal Murray kind of figures it out on such a stacked team. I don't know.
So Shea, Jokic, Giannis, Luka.
Shea,
Obviously,
Jokic, Giannis,
I love
Luka, yeah.
Wemby. I love Wemby.
Well,
You
Wemby,
know,
of
but
course. How could I
yeah.
forget? I mean,
So
5 guys. Yeah.
yeah.
But here's the thing, like these guys are all on different teams. Versus we've got player for player. We're always going to be just at an advantage, you know?
Player for player, yeah,
Player for player.
and it's not like we don't
Rotation
have a
for rotation.
pipeline bar for bar.
Bar for bar. Like, dude, I mean, think about it.
We're bar for
When
bar.
think about it, their second string, like when they're resting their best players, okay, here comes another all-star / potential superstar coming off the bench,
Slash
completely
potential Hall of
outplaying.
Famer. Yeah,
Right. So like
yeah.
we've got, like, yeah, they've got Jokic. He's the best player in the NBA. But outside of Jokic, it's Bogdanovic, it's Vasily Micic. But then after that, it's like, these
Another
guys are
another
really
another thing that's happened, Vic. I think there's never been more pride in Team USA basketball,
because
and the
of how
thing is,
competitive it is now, you think?
and because of how legendary it means, like this is something you got to tick off on your career now as an
Mm,
NBA superstar. Curry's not doing this for no reason at 36. I
yeah.
mean, we can argue why didn't you do this sooner, but he did go on
Right.
like a ton of finals runs and needed some
Yeah.
time off,
Yeah.
right? And literally the last 2 were in the middle of like that iconic run, right? So, but this is something now that the superstars have made cool. And so
Right.
you want to be a part of it. Before that wasn't the case, right? But now it is the case that as a star, you do have to do this
But is it
at a
gonna
certain point.
scare this is what I'm worried about. Is it gonna scare our future stars away because
No, we
there's
don't
no
want those
more
players.
LeBron shield, Steph
No,
shield?
we don't want those players on the team. If you're scared, we don't want you on the team.
I
That's like
agree with that. I agree with that.
LeBron,
But,
everybody had to lose one. LeBron lost one. Okay,
they
he
didn't
lost.
really
He was
yeah,
on that '04 team. They
he
lost
was,
that.
but they didn't
Okay.
really get
I
run.
get it, but
Yeah,
you still lost.
for
Okay.
sure.
So
He's part of that.
he's experienced it. Bam
Yeah.
Adebayo experienced losing to Canada. Um actually did
No,
Pop leave him off that team? Pop left
no,
him off that team.
Bam wasn't on that team. Yeah.
Pop kicked him from that team. And he
Brunson was
regretted
on
it.
that
And by
team,
the way,
Halliburton, Ant.
they would have beat Canada if they put Bam on that team
We
because
had
he was
Walker
exactly what they
Kessler
were
at the
missing.
5. Yeah,
How do you choose Walker Kessler over Bam?
I don't know,
You
but,
chose Walker
also,
Kessler over Bam?
I don't know if we chose one over the other, but I know Walker Kessler was one of our rim protectors that over time, like, he was kind of in and out of the
Yeah.
rotation. It was weird. But I wanted to mention this because I actually wanted to open with this when we started, and I completely forgot. How sad all this is to me, that every time we get an Olympic documentary, we'll always get everyone's perspectives, and we'll never be able to get Kobe's, like, ever
Yeah.
again. Like, I was looking at my background, obviously the artwork I have behind me, obviously he's my favorite player of all time, and every time these like I don't know if you saw the recent Redeem Team one on
Well,
Netflix.
Kobe was the LeBron of that team, you
Yeah.
know?
He was like, but now everyone gets to tell their perspective these days whenever a new one comes out, and we'll never get to hear it from Kobe, you know?
There has there have not been many famous deaths that have impacted me the way finding out about his impacted
Yeah.
me because it was just so my goodness, man, it was out of nowhere. It was completely avoidable, which is the most
Mhm.
frustrating part.
Yeah.
Um, he was on his way to a glorious post basketball career. You could just see it.
Yeah.
You could just see it blossoming already. That what it was
Mhm.
going to turn into. His daughter was, was getting great at basketball in her
The
own
film
age group.
stuff,
The film, that's what I'm
the
talking about.
books.
Is his career was blossoming. I mean,
Mhm.
Kobe was probably going to have a podcast at some point,
Yeah.
Um, and that was devastating, man.
Yeah.
Been very few um yeah, that one hurts. And every time you think
Yeah.
about it, you're like, damn. You just think of all the memories of him.
Yeah.
One of the most recent ones that pops into my mind is Luka and Kobe on the sideline. That's the one that pops to mind most
Yeah.
recently because
Because of the
I think
trade
that might
and
have been
yeah.
because of the trade, that connection. Now, Luka
Mhm.
going to the Lakers is just right in my opinion, to the point where it
Yeah.
feels like almost NBA rigged, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But classic Lakers move, out of nowhere, they just land one of the best players in the league again. You know, they just do it
yeah,
all the time.
it
It's
feels
like
so like I'm not a conspiracy guy, but it just doesn't feel like anybody besides that guy. What's his name? Nico. Nico
Nico
what?
Harrison. Yeah.
No one knew Nico Harrison by first and last name. At least like no casual did before
Well, he
this
was a
trade.
Nike guy, right? So, um, he was like when he jumped into this Mavs thing, it was like okay, he's gonna have some player relationships. He's gonna be able to bring some guys over. Like that was the whole
We're
thing.
blaming this on Nike. You've dropped two Nike
Oh shoot,
conspiracies
yeah, yeah.
in
I don't
this
know,
in
man.
this
I don't
thing.
know, but
I
yeah,
just don't see how, man, it's
what
he
did he
feels
even
like
do
the
at
only
Nike?
human. He just feels like he's the only human on earth who thinks that this was the trade to make.
Nike's vice president of North America basketball operations. Yeah, that was
Dude,
Nico.
when you
Yeah.
yeah, but he has Kyrie Irving, he didn't trade him. Uh he you got Dirk Nowitzki, Mr. Mavs himself.
hmm
Going to the Lakers game was a statement in and of itself. Him going to the
Yeah,
first game, Luka was there. Then
yeah,
he comes out and says, he just feels bad for Luka. He doesn't take a jab at
yeah.
the Mavs, but you see Jason Kidd's face in that press conference, and he's
He
thinking the
looks,
exact same thing.
yeah,
He's questioning
he looks
his
upset. Yeah,
career. He's pissed. He's about to
yeah.
crash out on that. And every time Nico's like, we thought this was like the right, and Kid's just looking off into the distance like,
I know what kid likes. We're in communication.
and he's just looking straight
Oh,
ahead like, kid, don't sacrifice a paycheck.
yeah,
Don't do it. You can get
and like
out of
in the
here. No,
most simple of ways, fresh off making the finals, you get rid of him. And
it's like
obviously
it's.
in the finals, he was exposed defensively really
I know he
badly.
didn't. I
But
know he didn't
yeah,
win. I know he didn't win
yeah,
the finals. Um, but it's like what Jordan says in The Last Dance when he gets really angry about how they won and the guy broke up the team.
mm.
The
Yeah, Jerry
owner, that was like
Krause.
one of the yeah, that was like one of the conflicts. He's like,
hmm
when you win the right. You earn the right to defend it with the team that you had. You can add some pieces, but you don't get
Yeah,
rid of what you
you run
won
it
with.
back. Yeah,
And the old school guys and like the guys who I think are like, by their word type of people, like the Pat Rileys. When we won with Shaq and Wade, he brought that whole aging team back, and we didn't do great the next year. Okay,
hmm
um, but you bring that team has a right to defend its title, whether they come back or not is a different story. By the way,
yeah,
really, couldn't have been a worse matchup for the Mavericks. I mean, it couldn't have been a better matchup for the Celtics in that finals. I think it goes a different
yeah.
way if they get Minnesota, to be honest with you. I think
It
Minnesota
could,
win.
it could
I
have
think it goes I think it would have gone at least 6 or 7.
potentially, especially if Chris Tapps is like, in
Mhm.
and out, kind of
Mhm.
dealing with that injury, really concerned about the minutes and all that. Now, I pulled up Luka's contract just to kind of like give you some points towards your argument. Like, yeah, they did have a chance to run it back because Luka has one more year, which was
Mhm.
obviously this season. They could have ran it back this year. Then the next season would have been the last season before he could then either pick up the player option or decline it, which according to him and everyone around him says he was waiting for the bread. But obviously the Mavs said they were never going to pay him. But even if they were never going to pay him, they could have just ran it back this season with what they had, kind of see what happens because the West is
Cuban
pretty open.
Cuban
It's not.
sold this team
Yeah,
before this. Um
yeah, and I
he
and I said
he
that was a
he,
red
he
flag to me.
it was very weird when he sold
Yeah,
the team out of nowhere.
yeah,
Um I've heard some rumors. I don't know if it came from you that this lady was maybe trying to force. She wanted to open up some casino in Dallas and they didn't let
yeah.
her.
The
And
casino
that
thing.
maybe
That's a
this
that's
was
a.
her way to force a team to
I
LA.
don't know.
I mean to
I don't know.
Vegas.
I don't buy that. I don't. It's an interesting conspiracy, but I don't buy it. I
Well, if
just don't.
OKC trades Shea for Jalen Brunson, you know, I don't know.
Well, why would they do that?
I'm just saying a trade that would never happen. Like it's just I'm
Oh,
trying to do a comparable,
oh,
which
you're
you
like
can't because
trying to.
that's not a good comparable. But
Yeah,
gosh, anyways, all right. I think
no.
we've covered everything. Episodes 1 through 3. Any last notes you want to say before we call this one?
No. Other than when are we planning on the next one? Because there's just one more
Um,
one more pod.
Monday or Tuesday, probably Tuesday.
Okay. Now, if it's
Maybe we
on the
do
weekday, I
Tuesday.
can't do it in the morning.
No,
Has
it'd
to
be at night.
be yeah, it
It'd
has
be
to
at
be
night.
at night.
Well, we could always do
Yeah.
it next Saturday or
Yeah.
next
If you
something
wanna
like
do it
that.
on the weekend, then I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk off here. All
Yeah.
right.
Alright.
On top of the Court of Gold that we're doing on the channel, we're also covering Severance. If you know by now, we're covering that. You'll hear the next episode probably Thursday or Friday of next week. And we also have another interview dropping with a good friend of mine, Isaac Rossi, who's an actor in the Dexter series, Dexter Original Sin.
Mm.
And yeah, you can catch all those things there. I'm gonna link all of Vic's podcast, all things basketball, in the description. Vic, please feel free to plug whatever you want.
Yeah, obviously, all things basketball, you'll have the link in there. I try to do my best to make a video every week. If you're interested in making any suggestions, you can always hit me up on the email, atbpodmail@gmail.com. We could drop that on the video too. And I want to give a shout out to anyone that wants to read like a really good basketball book that kind of takes you through the evolution of the game. And it's right here. It's not my book, it's Kurt Goldsberry's book. It's called Hoop Atlas.
Hmm.
Dope cover. It has all kinds of charts. It goes through just all the stages of the NBA and how it's evolved. But yeah, thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate this. This was fun.
Likewise, bro. It was a blast. And also, if you guys have any commentary on Court of Gold, email us at contact@soapbox.house, and we'll read it on air or comment on this YouTube video. So, all right,
Mm.
y'all. We'll see you on the next episode where we round out the series with episodes 4 through 6. Vic, thank you, and peace.
Peace.